Welcome back, SMITE fans, as we jump into set 2 of the day. It's Gort's Trelly to break this one down and break into it. It's going to be the Warriors and the Kings taking each other on. Now, Trelly, as far as grand standings, implications, change-ups, shifts, things like that, this has got none of those, right? The Order Division is... Sorry, not the Order Division. That one's still up for grabs. Chaos Division has been pretty much solidified at this point. Which means we're in an interesting spot because as we look at it, schedule, you probably caught this a little bit on Waiting Room. For the Warriors, doubleheader, today Kings, tomorrow Gladiators. Not a lot of weight on their shoulders unless they just want to really rack up the win count. But last phase, right, they had undefeated streak, that kind of conversation going for them. This time around, it's just maybe solidifying even more dominance in first seed. That being said, for the Kings, Trelly, I think, if you look at like Warriors Glads are looking for their first win still, so maybe they're going to show up tomorrow afternoon and show us what they have. Kings are in a very similar spot, which is that it hasn't been as clean of a phase as I'm sure they would like, and while they are in their top 3 and they're guaranteed to stay in that top 3, whether or not they could chase down the Ravens or not, they're not going to fall below the Gladiators. A win here would really probably feel great for them, and I think would help for the mental fortitude, even if it's not helping anywhere in the standings.
And if that's all they're looking for, I mean, hats off to them. I don't think that anyone wants to come in today and lose, right?
No.
Even if
especially not Genetics. That's his former team over there.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to give them any sort of happiness, I suppose, if you're Genetics. So, yeah, I don't think that's going to be the kind of matchup. Of course, the Oni Warriors are known to have a little bit of fun, but with that, I'm going to lean more on the Camelot Kings. I think they would love to go into right before playoffs with a win over the Oni Warriors. They would still let that mean, a ton to their mental. So that's the kind of matchup I'm expecting.
And a couple games. Max of 8-2, right? So the Ferrymen, period, have the best win-loss record that we're going to get to see this phase. But you can go 8-2, maybe have a little fun now. And here's the thing. I've heard allegations against one of the Warriors from one of the other Warriors. I think it was Sot on Thursday. We had the solo laners come in who was talking about how much of a troll Pegon can be in the right opportunities.
Well, that is true.
And yeah, I think everybody I've said that to has corroborated the story.
100%.
They're just like, yeah, he does it in SPL games even. So we'll find out whether or not it is going to be that kind of game and how exactly the mental for the Warriors is feeling right now. As we jump over to Sot, who's standing by for an interview.
That's right. I got SoloOrTroll here from the Oni Warriors. Now, Sot, before we jump into anything, I heard that there was a little bit of trouble with you on the way here to the studio. May have gotten into a little bit of a scuffle with an officer being pulled over a little bit. What's going? Not a scuffle. Got pulled over. Not gonna say scuffle. That implies a fight. That didn't happen. What was going on with that, man? What happened?
I'm literally 20 seconds away. I can practically see the parking lot of the studio. I'm right there, and the cop, pulls me over, and my tags are expired, and I need to get those renewed. And yeah, and I got a ticket, so I got to pay that. So that means I need more subs on my Twitch to help cover that. Nah, that was my fault. So I need to get the tags renewed because, apparently, if you're in a different state or something, you need to get a new license. I didn't even know that. Why can't I just have one license for all of America? That doesn't make any sense. But I'll pay that, and I'm pretty sad. No, I'm not sad, actually. I'm mad, actually. I'm taking my anger out on the Kings this set. So, I'm furious right now. So,
it's not like other countries where you're good for the whole country. You gotta have one for each individual state. You've also got to have the tags for the state and everything like that. So, it's not a fun process. I've had to go through it. A lot of us who have moved through here have had to do that too. And kind of, I guess, speaking on that now, got to take your anger out against the Kings. Is it doubly so because this is now Genetics' former team, or is this just because of this situation, doesn't matter what team you're going up against, a little bit of extra now for them?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what team. I don't care if it's Ferryman. I'm rampaging. I'm gonna pick Ullr. I'm gonna go crazy. I'm gonna pick anything. Maybe Fenrir. Seething Howl. I'll definitely be howling in the booth. So I'm pretty angry right now. So
howling in the game and the booth. Now, is Pegon really the biggest troll of the team? In games like this, who do you think is kind of the biggest one to, maybe the one most likely to feed in a game like this?
And besides me, probably Pegon, but Pegon's pretty good on game days. He's pretty good under pressure, I think. I mean, it's probably me. Probably me. I'm probably the one to feed the most, honestly. Like in the like I don't know, I'll probably pick Sovik or something I did last week and probably feed my brains out. But I mean, probably Pegon. Yeah.
All right, well, we'll end up seeing who feeds out on this one. I'll let you get back with the team. SOT, good luck in your match. We'll throw back to the desk.
Well, you get it all there, Charlie. From top to bottom, seething howl because he's seething with rage. Maybe Kakulin comes out because
he said he'd be howling in the booth as
he'd
well.
Be howling
Works
in the booth.
both ways.
We're gonna have to.
We're gonna get a camera in the booth.
Oh, I was thinking like nothing but listen-ins. Like we're gonna watch Sot's player cam, and if he howls even once, we gotta get that as much as possible. I'm really interested to see what this team has to do today. I'm also really curious, and Charlie, I'm gonna ask you this because I feel like expired tags might be the dumbest. Like that's like the worst one, right? To get a ticket for. Like if it was a warning, I'd be like, okay, Sot, you're maybe overreacting, but like have to pay extra. I understand where he's coming from.
But at least he recognized that, yeah, it's only his fault.
Oh yeah, there's nothing.
Just renew them, bro.
They're not expired now, so I can say this. Katie has the worst upkeep of any human that I've ever encountered, I swear. But for several years, she will go months before replacing an expired tag and not get pulled over. And I feel like she's using all of her luck on just that, as evidenced by Sot today.
Yeah, I mean,
unless his is like 3 years out. Like, how long has he been living down here?
Yeah, he did not tell us, luckily. So we don't know that information, but you know, hey, let that be a lesson to everyone. There's at least 2 people listening that also have expired tags, and they're gonna go get them done now because of Sot. So I think that was beneficial.
That was a real good, PSA from Sot.
Yeah, you don't wanna risk it. It's just not worth it.
No one likes getting A, pulled over, B, ticketed, or C, spending money on things that don't immediately provide you happiness. And that's what all three, Sot got hit with all 3. We'll see. Again, what kind of team and what kind of play style they're going to be bringing out. I heard him say Ullr. I heard him say Fafnir. We'll see what kind of lane Sot gives us. It's genetics down there who I think is going to shape them up, if anybody, as to what they're going to do. We'll see how off the deep end the Warriors go, because the team they're going up against, Trelly, again, it's 50-50, but whether they're looking for a win, whether they're going to be having some fun. I see Twig giggling already, so maybe that turns us one way more than the other. This is going to be, again, a matchup for them that if they really want to push for a win, just to end the season on a high note, this could be a big one for them.
It certainly could, and I think that's something they would need as well. It's not as if the Camelot Kings as a whole have been performing up to their own standards, right? I think everyone assumed, or at least expected, a bit more from them. Now you add in their own standards of, yeah, okay, we lost genetics, we have Quig. Quig's been doing a pretty great job as a replacement in that regard, and I think he's been coming into his own on this team. But just not that level of consistency throughout the map that the Camelot Kings themselves would really want. So coming into a set like this, I doubt it matters if the set matters or not, right? Let's say this season, like if they lost this, their season is just over. I think they're going to be playing with that same level of, we really need a win, because they're not satisfied with their performance so far, right? You're not going to go in and sort of, just go through the motions of a set if you're not satisfied with the way you've been performing. So I expect the Camelot Kings to come out swinging in a set like this up against the Oni Warriors, especially up against a team like the Oni Warriors.
Charlie, I'm going to be honest. These are sets that I always struggle to get into the headspace for, because sometimes we go into it, and this has happened, maybe not this year, definitely last year. We went into a set, standings implications were nowhere to be seen. Nothing could have shifted, nothing could have changed. And I distinctly remember thinking, okay, this is going to be a nice little goofy one, we're going to have a lot of fun. And then we got into the set, and it was the most serious picks and bans I had ever seen. And so my question for you is scale of like 0 to 2. Let's do 1 to 10. Who the hell does 0 to 10? 1 to 10. 1 is like dead serious. This is like world's level finals. These guys are not going to let anything down.
Yep.
10 is absolutely goofy, silly, wild. where are we on the scale as we jump into picks and bans?
I would assume the Oni Warriors are going to play just serious enough to get a 3-0. And the Camelot Kings are going to take it as serious as they would any other day.
So you're like, we're at like a 3.
Yeah, but like, you can only, and that's the thing. Bans can only do so much. It's going to be the picks that are very telling here for the Warriors in particular. And the way they usually play it is they get 3 solid picks, and then they start, okay, you know, Genetics gets to play on her or Freya this game, or Pegon is going to, you know, so I think they might switch up just a bit, but, you know, nothing more than like a 6. That's the highest I'll go.
And I also think, and maybe this is just by merit of who they are, but like, it kind of feels like you could put Sot, Pegon, and Panitom on whatever weird thing they ask for, and there's a pretty solid chance that you're not calling it a troll pick, you're just calling it a weird, eclectic pick, but they're mechanically so good that it doesn't matter, it's still going to look great. And Genetics likes playing the on her and the Freya in moments like this, so in reality, Chelly, we might get a quote-unquote troll draft that's not troll at all from the Warriors, and they'll actually look really good, especially considering how much they stream. Like you said, bans, maybe not telling us too much. We've got Naja, Aphrodite, Raijin banned out from the Warriors. The Kings so far, Yamoja, the Athena, and one more that's going to come in, presumably in the next 20 or so seconds. Morgan Le Fay's been pretty high up on the board. A lot of those top picks that we typically see still available. Chernobog, still up. The Amaterasu, who's not always banned off, but a very high pick, still available. Olorun's, Ratatoskrs, Baba Yaga. And it'll be the Puch, of course, the other guy I keep forgetting about, who ends up getting banned outright here. Chernobog open, Chernobog locked in. And Chelly, so far, nothing too telling.
Yeah, and this is what I expected, right? The top 3 from the Warriors probably will be right there in that conversation. Unfortunately for
Man, Sot's going to
Sot,
be seething even more now.
yeah, the Ullr taken away, so not going to be going the way of
Look at
the
that guy,
Oni
furious.
Warriors this time around. With the Baba Yaga as well. Camelot Kings. Sure, you're leaving open the Chernobog, which very powerful. We all know that. Top of the picks and bans for a reason. But Ullr and Baba Yaga, not a bad look, especially if Ullr's going to be on point, right? He did receive some buffs a bit ago. Ever since then, his red items just full burst Ullr build. Maybe you throw a Fail Knot in the mix for some extra crit chance. It's been pretty decent if given the right positioning. Double ADC, though, for the Oni Warriors. They're not letting this Ullr just run over them, right? They want to get some late game presence in it as well.
Now, I'm going to give you credit where credit's due. Olorun and Amaterasu locked in for the Oni Warriors, and you'll never guess it, that is a top 3 that they would lock in normally. So
Yep.
It is not really telling as to where they're going to be. Same thing for the Kings. Ull maybe on the rise more this week so far. Baba Yaga has been up at the top for a long time. Ratatoskr as well, for a couple of teams, has been the pick and a flex between Variety and CaptainTwig. Something that can really open up the Kings draft. Bans will come through. Notably, and we've kind of, me and you actually, I think, have had this direct conversation, with Yamoja and Athena gone, the next best Guardian shifts pretty heavily. We saw a good Atlas game earlier from Mike. We saw a Guan Yu game from Aurora, which nobody else is really playing. Charon last week, and that Ravens Leviathan set was a huge deal. Where does your mind go for next best guy?
Well, for the Oni Warriors, it's a little bit different. I would give the Khepri a very high weight towards Genetics in particular. Not to say that Quig can't also pilot the Khepri, it's just when you have a double carry composition and it's Genetics piloting the Khepri, that still carries a lot of weight for me.
Kings are listening to you, man.
But not going to get the chance. Camelot Kings take that one away, so now I've got to dial back. Terra as well. I think that's a pick that Genetics likes to go to. He's got plenty of playtime on that pick, and it just, gives you so much pressure over in the support role. So that'd be my 2. But actually, I forgot about the Fafnir as well. Those are my 2. Terra and Fafnir is what I'd go to if I was the Oni Warriors. Assuming, of course, that Genetics is still in that mindset we got our top 3, but do we need 4 top-tier picks? We'll have to see.
What if he convinces... I'm trying to think. I guess you could throw Amma into the jungle, convince Sot really heavily to play Fafnir so that he could go for the on her.
Well,
And then
Panitom in particular almost never has fun picks, right? That man is ice cold. As far as I'm concerned, Panitom is locking one of like 5 gods no matter what the instance is. So it'd take a lot of convincing to give Panitom the Amaterasu. I'm not thinking that's going to be a pick that he would want to take, but you never know. The Oni Warriors live to put on a show.
the Hercules was banned out with the Charon from the Warriors. Alongside that Khepri and that Susano. Poseidon gets locked in, and we just saw Baskin run this. And so while the Warriors finish out their draft, one is a Fafnir. With Baba Yaga and Poseidon, do you like the split that I guess we saw earlier, right? A Baba going mid and a Poseidon thrown over to solo?
No. Don't like Poseidon.
No, just don't.
No,
Okay.
don't like him one bit. But I understand the want to play him, right? The mage solos are still very strong. You're gonna win lane just almost always, just because of how much pressure the Poseidon can bring. But there's a lot of gods that can die Poseidon very easily, and the best of which was just locked in. Robin will not care. There's not much you can do to peel yourself away from a Robin. It just doesn't exist as a Poseidon. You drop your one, gets overhead kicked. You drop your Kraken, gets overhead kicked. Mystic Rush still available. Bead still available. It's just not a good time. So, would not be locking in the Poseidon if it was me. However, I do give a little bit more weight to like when it's basket. That's different. In this case, it's going to be hard to keep this Poseidon alive.
So, Ullr, Baba Yaga, Rat, Poseidon, Hell. I'm going to be honest, Trelly, Kings look a little squishy, even with breastplate and things like that. It's going to take a little time before I think they feel as tanky as their counterparts on the other side for the Warriors. That being said, we also have a few of these that have played multiple roles in various positions.
Yep.
So I'm going to ask, for, I guess, just your thoughts. Like, where do you think each of these picks goes? Is it going to be as straightforward as it seems?
I think... Yeah, I would assume that Twig just takes the Rat, and you give Variety the Poseidon, and everything else goes where you would guess. That's probably where I put these things, just because, the Rat solo is okay, but it's not gonna have the best trades into.
You're telling me you're not a fan of Poseidon jungle?
No, not into Robin. Panitom's gonna eat your lunch, bro. Like you don't want that at all. If you catch Panitom in the jungle on Robin, like that just doesn't sound like a good time. Again, assuming Panitom takes that pick, so. It farms well. It's just when you see Poseidon jungle, in my mind, if I am the Robin, I'm not letting that guy free farm. I'm not letting that guy exist on the map. He doesn't get to just, farm for free.
You thought you could play Smite?
Yeah,
in my house?
Yeah, you literally will not be playing Smite. So, just, I think it's a lot easier to leave him underneath his little tower. Get his little whirlpools, keep getting infinite farm there. You don't really have to run around. You don't have to roam through the jungle. That becomes a lot easier than, hey, I need you at my blue buff spawn. I need you at back camps. There's a lot more ways you can get caught out when you're a jungle Poseidon as opposed to a solo Poseidon.
Hell support, presumably, right? Because you've got 3 mages. Hell's the only one that's really gone over into the long lane. So I guess there's a conversation of Ullr versus Olorun to be had for duo lane. But I also want to ask, like Hell versus like a Fafnir, right? He's got single target CC, she's got cleanse, healing on one side, more attack speed for the other. How's that like balance out in a team fight?
It's not fun, for the Fafnir, of course. Your stuns getting cleanse is annoying, the movement speed, but Amaterasu is going to bring plenty of that as well. And if you have a Fafnir Ama comp, you don't have to worry too much about the fight. The objective pressure is where you're getting ahead anyways, so just get your ward vision down. Show up to Gold Fury, show up to Fire Giant, and then just big coerce. Guess what? The Fire Giant's gone. You don't have to worry too much about the fight because you can just fight once you're ahead. You don't have to take even fights.
Well, we'll find out how exactly this is going to shake out. Relatively squishy for the Kings, and it'd be nice to end on a win. We'll find out in Game 1 with J-Mac and Inbound.
Now, thank you so much, Gore and Trelly. So we jump into Game 1 for the Warriors and Kings. That's right, it's J-Mac, Inbound, and Doug. It brings the view into the battleground as you jump into this first game. And I think I kind of want to maybe dive in at least a little bit onto the composition that the Oni Warriors have drafted, because we thought that this is going to be Panitom on the Robin. but it's not going to be Panitom Robin. Panitom's taking a page out of Sino's book, Bobby, and going with the Amaterasu jungle.
And on top of that, SoloOrTroll is playing Destol Ravin with, I assume, fingers crossed, I guess we don't really know at this point, I assume Soul Eater, but maybe he goes something real funky like Devs. I mean, he's already playing Ravin solo in a meta that's not really, a Ravin meta period, let alone Ravin solo. So very interesting. I think Ama's a very strong jungler. I like Ama in the jungle. It's this Ravin solo that I'm really iffy about, but if you consider just matchups and 1v1s, in an actual 1v1, like PvP 1v1, Ravin and Poseidon, that is completely dominated by Ravin, but will he be able to farm and clear waves as well as the Poseidon? Probably not.
I think that's the to be determined. I'd imagine probably first 5-6 levels probably goes a little bit more swayed towards the Poseidon and clear. It's all about the boxing matches maybe then later on, once we start to see a little bit of active play from Panitom and CaptainTwig. So I'm keeping eyes a lot over towards the Soul lane, where Twig and Panitom go in this composition, see exactly what happens. SOT's already blinked to the lane.
Beats.
Already gotten the beats from Variety as well. I mean, that's a easy now dash target for Panitom. That silence can get in a tremendous amount of value. The problem is now that Sat's used all of that to poke Variety. Doesn't have anything for the wave clear.
Yeah, worth for the beads though, even if he is going to lose a little bit of the wave. The positive with going Destol Ravin is you're going to have a ton of shields from your passive. You're also going to have a ton of healing from your 3, and then on top of that, you also have the Destol healing. So I expect Solo to almost always kind of be full health, SoloOrTroll to almost always be full health. Also, another thing I want to touch on, because we haven't really seen much of it, this Hel support. This is a character where she kind of dominated phase 1.
He's
good autos. Wait.
Nah, he's good.
Okay, if
He's
that
good.
one came back up, it would have been really close. But Hel support dominated phase 1. It was that Aphrodite dictated the entire meta. I'm talking first pick, first ban. It fell off a little bit. It got a few nerfs. Well, at this point.
Tied away, Variety. He's got the shots. That's first blood to the Kings, but Panitom is right around the corner. Dash in, shield damage. Turnaround 1-for-1 trade for the teams. But now Panitom, no beads. CaptainTwig can chase this one out. Dash still down for 6 seconds. And no cooldowns for CaptainTwig. Solo kill for Variety, but a good turnaround for Panitom.
He was just baiting, right? He knew he knew he was dead there. Just trying to bait him in, take that 1-for-1. Good first blood, good autos there by Variety. A little bit of auto trades in duo also, but this Hel, I'm interested to see what the build looks like. Are we going to see that aura build that we saw in phase 1? Are we going to see more of a cooldown build around that breastplate? Kind of what made Quig go back to this Hel, because she did eat a lot of nerfs. She is a heavily nerfed character from that first phase, and she's playing into a pretty difficult matchup because she is the main frontliner. There's really no other frontliner with her. That's what happens when you have this mage in solo. But she's going for that Lonos, so she's going for at least a little bit of tankiness with the Lonos, with the Thebes. But curious where she goes, what direction she goes with the rest of the build.
Is that 4 gooseberries I see on the side of the Oni Warriors Kraken? Well, as long as that ability is up, probably just imagine that or the ultimate to immune Variety. SoloOrTroll blinks in, gets the root once more in a slow. Good poke against Variety. CaptainTwig not nearby to be able to try and help punish that. Speed still down for 18 seconds.
Oh,
Panitom
no.
is there though. Dash is good. Ultimate available. Needs all 3 swipes for the stun. Will land it, but SOT's a little far behind. Does get the root right around the corner. And the 10-hand Shadow Fist is good. SOT able to pick up the kill for the Warriors.
And a lot of pressure being put out onto Variety already. 2 kills in that lane onto Variety. But we've seen this story before. We've seen Variety take a few deaths, actually jumping in duo.
Yark still trying to fight in. Axe toss hits Genetics though. And that's a tanky Fafnir, not really concerned with the damage from the Ullr just yet. But duo pressure has been going a bit over to the Camelot Kings, maybe some of that from the healing that you have to deal with Hel. Not only healing to ally gods, but keeping those minions alive, making it a little bit tougher for Netrioid and Genetics to be able to clear out those minion waves. Plays into a bit of that annoyance factor that Hel had, as you mentioned earlier on in the year. Able to secure the shield buff is the Oni Warriors. And I think even just watching the progression of the Hel this game, because I think the build, as you mentioned, probably the most important thing to weigh in on, but also just seeing if maybe any damage gets prioritized on the god.
or the healing bolstering rods, the Asclepius, Last Gasp, because when we saw this Hell, usually it was like that full damage aura build, but towards the beginning of the first phase, you'd have players like Mike go for that Last Gasp. I liked going for Asclepius some games if I felt like I was in a comfortable spot. So there is a lot up in the air with what he can do, because Hell as a character is very open with how you can play her. You can play her as kind of a healing bot, you can play her as a little bit more of a damage-oriented support. So a lot of it is up to just how Quig intends to play her and how he wants to play her. A little bit of trading, but I also think a little bit should be said about this med in... Actually, he dashes in.
Ultimate from CaptainTwig. Follow up against Pegon. No, it's on top of Panitom. Pegon standing by. Just free casting on the Chernobog. Not concerned with the action to be had around this beacon. That is an ultimate from CaptainTwig and BMT in trade for ults of Panitom and Pegon. But Panitom's going to keep the chase up. SOT couldn't spot out CaptainTwig, but now they got vision on without an ultimate. CaptainTwig can't close gap, or can't get away, I should say. It's a dunk in by Sot. Goes down for first blood in the game and still has overhead kick for Variety after. Go ahead and try and steal blue, but Variety with the Kraken guarantees the buff. Nearly could have been in danger had any other damage connected to him.
A lot of scuffling going on already in this game, trying to establish slight leads everywhere, ultimates getting traded. But so far, SoloOrTroll kind of coming out on top with a lot of these. And I think Ravana, as a character, is one of the most imposing characters from ahead. A Ravana who can just kind of blink on you, not worried about your damage, is a really scary Ravana. So I'm also wondering kind of, you know, SoloOrTroll's played this Ravana, we've not seen it a ton. What kind of build does he opt for? Is he going to go for that Onis? Actually, a lot of damage on a Pegon in mids. Beads forced. No follow-up. Twig also getting very low. A little bit of trading out there. Beads forced onto Pegon. Twig also does get out. But curious for the build that Solo kind of opts for. Does he go for that Onis, that mitigation style build? Is he going to go for maybe a more damage-oriented build with a Soul Eater into a Jotuns? Curious how a couple of these different, you know, gods are going to be built.
Because really when Ravana was meta, you know, we look back at like the first bump up of the Ravana solo meta in recent times. It was when Sigil was really good. You go Sigils, Mask, just full mitigation and defense. You never die. You don't do an insane amount of damage, but they also can't do anything to you. You're shieldless forever. Then Mask got changed over to be a starter item, so we saw a little less of him. Still saw some. Variety can't catch a break. Overhead kick gets away from Kraken. Pegon there. Panitom just there because why not? A third death now onto the solo laner of the Camelot Kings. Oni Warriors and SOT, even despite that first blood drop, it's been all good for him since then.
Yeah, I mean, even on that first death, he got the return kill onto Panitom, so he got that assist. A part of every kill so far, same with Panitom.
What are you doing, Pegon?
Pegon. Oh, Solo's here too.
This is just bullying now. Root, slow, ultimate. Variety's dead at his Phoenix. That's just bullying at that point.
That is just disrespectful. A little bit of fighting over in duo. Ult's traded. Quig still pretty healthy. Seems to be just a little bit of trading there. Panitom holds ult. Genetics holds ult. But all that time, because of what happened on that Phoenix, actually middle tower is going down. Big Man gets it, hits the tower, and now that's actually a lot of pressure on the map that's forced onto the Warriors because they don't have that safety net in mid. They do have a very safe mid laner anyway, not like Chernobog, someone that could be threatened, killed. Actually, speaking of kills,
Panitom might just be able to solo me inside the house. His shield isn't big enough to keep him alive, and now CaptainTwig's too scared to fight against it because Pegon is right around the corner. Even losing out on a tower is not enough to deter the Oni Warriors, and even with a tower standing, it's not enough to stop SOT. Blinks in to try and take that blue buff away. I think successful in stealing it. Now Variety down a buff, not safe in tier 1 tower at this point. It is a rough patch for Variety, especially because SOT doesn't care about defense. He's going for damage second slot.
Yeah, Solo's probably going for that Soul Eater Jotuns build, the one that we saw in jungle with the Pele sometimes. Yark looking for the axe, gets the axe.
Does land. Where's the rest of the abilities? Hits one. Volley misses after. Pegon's on the scene. Jarcorrr now got to run away, waiting for his jump to come off of cooldown. Waiting for a chance to be able to jump away. Does manage to get back because Genetics is waiting around the corner. I think a ward was able to spot Genetics out there, so Jarcorrr knew that had he stepped too far forward, there's still someone lurking in the jungle this time. And it's just aggressive play by the Oni Warriors across the map.
And yeah, I mean, paying off too. They're getting kills everywhere they need to. A little bit of worry in duo. I think Jarcorr's in a lot better spot than Netrioid is, and it seems like he's out trading him pretty hard now too. But SoloOrTroll with the build actually taking a lot of damage in response. He's playing for like burst at this point, and Variety going for that tier 2 breastplate is not going to get bursted very easily, and then he also sustains up with the Vamp, the Pythags. I don't know if this is entirely... Unless you're getting a lead, I don't know entirely how well this Robin is actually going to work into this matchup, because you have to be able to all in. If you can't all in, then Variety's just going to be sustaining the entire time.
CaptainTwig lurking in the jungle. Basic attack just a little too late from Variety to stop the back from SOT. We'll go back, pick up the Jotun's Wrath, as mentioned before. So now we see if we actually see the full damage route of this Robin, or do we see a bit of defense pop in. CaptainTwig staying active on the map, and I think that's important on this Ratatoskr. Even going down the first time shouldn't be enough to stop you, to slow it down. He's only 1 level down to Panitom, despite a 2-0-3 Amaterasu. CaptainTwig's been holding his own in the jungle, only that 1 level down for himself at 0-1. So I like to see that he's still willing to try and start some of these fights, and he's going to be needed maybe on this left side. Both junglers waiting inside the jungle to see if they can go for a fight. Instead, it might be a brawl over the shield buff for the time being. Panitom dashes in, gets silenced.
Wow.
That's half of CaptainTwig's health. Meanwhile, Genetics and Netrioid, they're just waiting by. They've got access to all their ultimates for this fight, and they might need them because now Pegon is here. Gets the dash out of CaptainTwig. Beads as well, burned by the jungler. Camelot Kings can't stick around this buff.
And I think the slightly bigger deal at that is the full breastplate by Panitom versus just the tier 2 for Twig. More cooldowns. You also have more full protections. Twig just finishes out that breastplate. So it's something that means a lot in that 1v1 because it's just more cooldowns. So you're trading just easier, you're trading better, and then you also just have those extra protection advantages. And also at this point in the game, if you're the Warriors, you have to be really looking for these Gold Furies, these Pyros in about 2-3 minutes on the Pyro, but Gold Fury needs to be on your mind. You have such good burn. Alma, double auto attacker, little bit of trading in duo. Two's done a lot of damage. There's the one hit. The one hits the solo kill. Netrioid onto Jarcorrr.
Not a common solo kill that you see is an Olorun against an Ullr. Typically you think Ullr's the one going for those solo matchups, but it gives the Oni Warriors a chance to take this Gold Fury. Quig's nearby, BMT on the way. Gold Fury still to 20%. Netrioid's rotation in will guarantee the Gold Fury for the Oni Warriors, a 2,000 gold lead at that, plus the experience as well. Oni Warriors, even despite all these kills and that gold, not as far ahead as I would have expected.
Yeah, really not a big lead at all. I mean, especially after Gold Fury. I think we've seen the Dragons get kills like this also, and they just can't really get leads. Slight little scuffle happening on Beacon. Expect the healing comp to actually SoloOrTroll here. Maybe a fight breaks out.
Jump in by Genetics. SOT roots out CaptainTwig. Half of his health now gone from 2 abilities and an in-hand from Pegon. And how it's a standoff at the point. All 10 players on the map heading over this way. Jarcorrr coming back from respawn. Genetics immunes the Kraken with his own ultimate. Pushed back by the Tidal Wave, but now it's CaptainTwig jumping it off the tree. Hits 2, but Genetics is fine. He's eating the entirety of the damage from BigManTingz. As Panitom dashes in for a good silence, but it's all the Camelot Kings backing away. Pegon, no beads available to him. The fight for the beacon is still going the way of the Warriors, but the Kings are stepping back up.
And the sustain game seems to be paying off. Genetics barely gets out healthy enough. And just like that, the Hell, the meditation is enough to win it. And with that tier 1 breastplate on the Hell, I think we see the type of style she's going for. That full cooldown build, wants to be spamming as much as possible. And that's how we expect fights to play out if the Kings are winning it, at least until late game. Other than the Kraken. Maybe we hit the Kraken, we don't let the Fafnir immune all of it, but that's essentially how we want to see fights to happen. We want to see trades, don't die, the Kings back up the heal, and on the other side, the Warriors trades, and then you want to be able to all in to not allow the enemy team to heal. And actually, 13-minute Fire Giant with the Fafnir and the Amma.
This isn't even a staggering lead for the Warriors. This is just a power move by them.
It's a 5v5.
Fire Giant down at half HP. Yark's on the way. Kraken's used by Variety, but didn't get much. It's all from Netrioid in response. Variety is chased out, nearly taken down, but SOT still diving into the back line. Takes down one. Variety, the first one down, but SOT traded in response. It's a 1-for-1 with Panitom still alive. CaptainTwig's ultimate used, but doesn't get much value. It's just BMT swinging the fireballs right back through, and the Camelot Kings can resustain and keep going forward.
And with Pyro up, maybe no Fire Giant, but a slight trade-off, getting the 1-for-1 solo for solo. Pyro being pulled. Seems like maybe a possible contest here.
Panitom has the shield to try and steal, dashes in. Camelot Kings will get the Pyromancer. But such an awkward pull from the Oni Warriors. It's not like they had a huge lead. They're only up 2,000 gold at that point. Not like they had a huge man advantage either. All the Camelot Kings were back off of respawn.
Yeah, I think it's more so like they thought they had a huge man advantage there. But there was 4 sitting on that side of the map, and then there was 1 coming out of base. It's not like that is even a good sneak. It was the most obvious sneak we might have ever seen. And because of that, it's just a 1-for-1, and they actually end up losing the Pyro also. But still, a solid lead, and I like that they're open to pull that Fire Giant, even though I think we're both in agreement that maybe not the best pull we've ever seen. I like that they're looking to pull them.
Panitom stunned as soon as he dashes into lane. He'll be fine, at least for the time being. Fury's still down for about another minute before we see that one respawn back in. The Oni Warriors have a ton of pressure around these objectives. And maybe it's just a byproduct of the composition you have. You have a Fafnir, Amaterasu.
For sure.
Don't have a Frenzy just yet, but then you've also got double auto attacker and until now, full damage Ravana. Maybe that was just the reason the Oni Warriors go for a pull like that.
Yeah, for sure that's the reason they look for it. They have really good burn, consistent damage. Maybe they're lacking a little bit in secure. I actually think their secure is putrid. It is horrible secure. And then you look at the other side into the Kings. They've got Ullr 1-3. They've got Variety's Kraken. I mean, even BigManTingz 1-2 is going to be more damage than just about anything that the Warriors have. Also, on top of that, the sustain advantage is pretty heavily on the King side too with this Hell. So those pulls, which you usually just see Fafnir transforms, that you pull the Gold Fury, you slowly poke it down. If they come in too far, you look for the engage. The engage and kite away is very easy by the King's comp. It's very easy way to kite out, then to heal up, and then to re-engage after. So we're going to have to see quick fights by the Warriors. And also, the Onk opted into by Panitom, not by Genetics. He goes into the Frenzy and Sprint.
Kraken by Variety. Pegon will take that dive into the tower. Needs a couple more in hands, but an Aegis from Variety keeps himself alive. But that's a 2-level difference between those players. And now, with sights kind of led astray to the right side of the map, the Oni Warriors go over towards the Primal, but there's still 4 players on the Camelot Kings. Variety is just 1 guy, and you sent your Global over to the right side and used his ultimate aggressively there, so now the Oni Warriors don't have much of a leg to stand on around this Primal Fury. Pegon, though, said, well, your Aegis is down this time. Maybe I win the boxing match. Does, again, win the match. We'll send Variety back. He literally just got back from base and is now going to have to go back again.
And Pegon is just huge right now. The Dev Gloves, the XE, the Fail Not. You're not out trading him, especially if he has ult. But even if he has ult, Variety actually looks like he maybe wants to take this or just stop the back. Because you see Rat on that speed buff coming out of base, maybe a potential bait. And no, actually, Variety just wanted to get his blue buff.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure he had a way to get to blue, but again, the Oni Warriors, the confidence in their objective play now nets them a Primal Fury. We're on the opposite side. So with that, Oni Warriors take 2 objectives in the Fury department. Still didn't get anything fire-wise. You know, we saw that pull, didn't get much from it. Now we wait for the next beacon to jump on in. So now as we start to kind of hit the midpoint of the game, the lead isn't too staggering either direction. Again, only about 2,000 gold. Who has the stronger mid-game composition between these squads?
When you have a global ult like Chernobog, it really benefits how strong your mid-game is. Because you're able to split push. If somebody matches you, you ult towards the fight. However, when you have a healing comp also, that's another comp that's really excels in this mid portion of the game before there's a ton of anti-heal. I mean, you look at the Oni Warrior side, where's the anti-heal? It's just an Onk. That is literally all they have. So this sustain is going to be insane. What's going to win out? The global from this Chernobog or the sustain on the Hell side? And right now, I think the sustain is going to be heavily advantage.
Dash gets Panitom just far enough before the Whirlpool stops that one. Avoids the Kraken, so it's now 1 ult down for the Camelot Kings. No relics used in trade by the Oni Warriors. So we do see them, that being the Oni Warriors, being pushed out by the Camelot Kings because the Pyromancer is back on map. Keep eyes on Netrioid in these fights with these ultimates. Sanctified Field is going to get decent value up against the Camelot Kings, who have pulled the Pyromancer once more. SOT already a third of his health gone before he can get to the Pyromancer, and by the time he gets to the pit, it's already dropped on the floor.
And Solo wants to finish that Thebes before this next fight. Variety's still happy to play forward. This is a really positive thing that Variety does, is even though he's 1-5, if he knows that he can like kind of get away with something or play a little bit farther forward, he's not going to be worried about being 1-6. He doesn't care. All he cares about is that win, and it's something where some players kind of lose that confidence when they start getting deaths and they start, you know, maybe their KD doesn't look as good. Variety's not one of those players. He does not care about his KD. He just wants to win the game.
It's almost like exactly where he wants to be. He's like, yeah, I got him right where I want him. I'm 1-5. They're not going to be expecting me to hit level 20 before anybody else on my team.
That's true. That's a Variety classic.
I don't know how Variety does it, but this man will go down like 1-3, 1-5 in the early game, and then he will just hit level 20 before his lane opponent. I mean, he's dead even right now.
Look at this. This is crazy.
I mean,
He's 1-5 and he's even.
I mean, he won't hit 21st on his team unless like BMT just like kind of stops farming for a bit, but the fact that he might actually just hit 20 before SOT is criminal, considering what we've been watching happen to Variety this game.
We've seen Variety getting bullied out even by Pegon. 5 strong by the Warriors in mid. Variety not here, should be pretty free, maybe a little bit of trading. They have that sustain advantage, so this is just still a win by the Kings, but looking like an all-in by the Warriors.
Genetics uses the coerce. Kraken only hits the dragon, but now it's a quick dash out by CaptainTwig. Can't get to the sky. Net takes down one, and SOT drops Jarcorrr. Variety gets the pushback onto Pegon, but use the wall for safety. Quig might just get stunned down here by Panitom. It's good, but there's no follow-up, so Quig gets to live. 2 down on the Kings. Variety steps 2 feet too far forward, and Netrioid and the squad punish him. A good stun by Genetics to set up for a 3-for-none trade.
And really just an overall great fight by the Warriors. They transform, they get this fight started quickly, and they try to end it quickly. But they are getting low, and it looks like a small contest.
BMT's level 19, steal potential there. No ultimate for Big Man, and that's just a collapse instead. On to the Baba Yaga. BMT silenced at a dash, pinned against the wall, and punched down by Panitom. The Camelot Kings cannot catch a break in the fight. They lose out on the objective. It is fire on all 5 of the Warriors.
And that is like kind of this big advantage that we've finally seen. We've seen about a 1,000 gold lead, give or take, for most of this game. Now it's almost 4,000 with with Fire Giant in hand. Now you kind of have some sustain match against this Hell. You have that Fire Giant sustain, and you also have the split push potential of Pegon. Starter being finished by Genetics. Starter just finished by Quig also. Actually, can we, are we able to see if that Lonos gets the full value yet? I don't know if that's something we're able to see.
I'm not sure. I mean, we can take a look stats-wise to see what you would need. So you need 45 of each protection in order to start removing those stacks. And
so 225 for all of them. Probably not yet. So he's not getting that full Lonos value yet. But you look at the other side. Fafnir's got that full War Banner, which as soon as you finish it, it's just insane value. Movement speed, attack speed, and you hit the Fafnir hammer and Twig has no beads, he's dead.
Yeah, 1 dead Ratatoskr from the Oni Warriors. Netrioid will split push over and left. Did opt to go for some defense himself. Breastplate of Determination online for Netrioid on the Olorun. Will keep up the split push because the rest of the team can just work on tier 2 tower in mid. Pegon helps knock that one down, and the Warriors will move their way over to the left side. Early transformation out of Genetics. That'll at least be able to net the tier 2 tower, but it will now get set up for the Phoenix. Frenzy pop, SOT to the backline. An ultimate from Netrioid just to guarantee the bird for themselves. And the Camelot Kings are all on the run. They're down their jungler, their soul laners at half HP, but SOT is able to walk out of this one. Might not be the same for Panitom. He gets stunned down by Yark. The door has been opened up for him to walk out, but CaptainTwig might just sack his life if he can guarantee one, but he misses the one that he had needed. Gets the stun after with the help of Yark. The Oni Warriors, they lose 1, nearly 2. Pegon able to root out, but a quick beads by Yark makes sure that he picks up the double.
And 5-man group still. They have this Hell Sustain going to be slowly chasing out. Solo looking to get a little bit of space. Net Genetics, Solo all grouped right now. Sustain is enough. Beads forced by Variety and all in by Solo.
SoloOrTroll in the middle of 3. Jarcorrr still there. It's a pincer maneuver by the Kings. They send 2 to the top, 3 to the bottom, but the 2 on top are losing to SOT. Quig is trying to do the best to sustain the team up. Kraken is online and hits Netrioid. He gets his beads, Variety's not got enough damage, but Yark has plenty. That's 3 for him in the fight. Genetics over the wall, but Yark was ready for it. A double-double for Jarcorrr. Netrioid, the only one left alive now for the Oni Warriors. And against 4, he's got no chance for a kill, no chance for survival. Variety gets the last one in a delayed deicide for the Camelot Kings.
And Gold Theory up after getting that big wipe over on left side. They lose the 1 Phoenix, but on top of that's all they really lost. The unfortunate part is now you have fire spawning in about 2 minutes. Left Phoenix is down. Pegon is able to split that side of the map, and you have no true answer for him. Pegon is now level 20, 5 items finished. He went for that Atalanta's. So his 1v1 damage, his 1v1 potential is going to be absolutely insane. Will somebody be able to match him? Not at this point.
Pyromancer for the Kings. A nice little follow-up for them off losing not only CaptainTwig, but their Phoenix afterwards. It is a good turnaround. So now the Camelot Kings have gotten much closer to evening out this game. Only about 2,000 between the two teams. Full builds starting to come online. Jarcorrr, interesting enough, point out to me, double crit for the Ullr. Not something we typically see out of Ullrs. When I think of Ullr, I think of ability. Slam as many cooldowns as fast as possible. Jarcorrr going a bit of a different path this time.
Yeah, like pseudo auto attack kind of. I'm curious to see what he goes last. Is it going to be that Deathbringer, try to look for the one-shot potential? Will he go some sort of sustain so he has some auto attack trading potential? Because right now his build path is open. He could also even just go Crusher for just more, ability damage like you were saying, because that's how I think about Ullr too, that one-shot potential off an Axe, 3-1 follow-up, usually just an execute against somebody who does not have defense, but switching it up a little bit, maybe a little to do with that Demon Blade buff earlier this month, or no, it was the end of last month, changes it a little bit. And with Titans pushing down right side, maybe a little fight potential here, but I think we're probably just getting ready for this Fire Giant.
You might get your wish on the Deathbringer. Tier 2 now for Jarcorrr.
There it is.
On that item. So, while his abilities might not hit quite as hard, weaving in those enhanced, get an enhanced Hydra's Deathbringer proc onto somebody, you're looking at maybe 700 to 800 damage. You could get towards one of these squishier targets, but as the fight around the Titans marching down breaks out, SOT's already down to half HP. The Camelot Kings Titan, a bit worse for wear, only a couple hundred more HP before it gets knocked out. And we might see the Oni Warriors make a play elsewhere while Titan's pushing up. Pegon's gone back to base. He can fly in at any moment. They'll leave BMT to deal with the Titan, but it could be a group up now around this Fire Giant as the Warriors starts to form up their formation around the objective.
And with Pegon just going back to base, finishes that Deathbringer. So now 6 items on Pegon on this Chernobog build. That one-shot potential is pretty insane. That's a nice looking wall. But that one-shot potential, that 1v1 potential by the Chernobog is through the roof.
Do you see the Phoenix respawn? CaptainTwig will give up the defense for now because the Oni Warriors pushing in, cracking its genetics. That's half health on the Fafnir. Panitom gets the stun onto 2, but CaptainTwig on the tree. His target might be towards Panitom. Gets the beads from the jungler, but Panitom's able to dash out. And a fast sanctified field by Netrioid keeps the Camelot Kings from pushing further forward. That was the frenzy and the sprint popped by genetics in that fight. It's now the Camelot Kings who can step up to fire.
And with Pegon ult up, they're actually going to be burning this. This is going to be a full-on fight here.
Fire Giant down to 25%. Genetics inside the
Bombs.
pit. SOT nearby. Camelot Kings get the Fire Giants. They had 3 runic bombs to do so. Jarcorrr gets the stun on SOT. Still half HP on the Ullr. Genetics is low. And now it's Pegon and Panitom to try and get to the back line. Panitom is zoning out 3, but now he gets slowed down. The Ankh has been used, but he's got nowhere to go. BigManTingz, credit for the kill. The Camelot Kings get fire and a kill.
And we see how much sustain is actually on the side of this Camelot Kings comp. They only have that anti-heal in the form of the Brawlers and the Ankh, and a lot of the times, Solo's not going to be able to consistently proc that Brawlers. It's going to be blink in, hit them a couple times, and then slowly back up. And it's something that they can kind of just kite out, sustain up. I think that is kind of a problem that we're seeing with this Oni Warriors comp, is just not enough anti-heal to deal with this hell.
So I was gonna wonder what would happen with genetics inside him, because he held on to that tier 2 breastplate. So I was thinking, do you go for the Spectral just because Jarcorr's been going a lot of crit? Do you go towards Contagion because there's a lack of that anti-heal, but it will be the Spectral for genetics instead? I gotta say, I've been very impressed by the play from Quig this game on the Hell. Hasn't gone down just yet. 0-0-7 for him, but a part of all but 1 kill for his team. Primal Fury pulled by the Camelot Kings. We'll be able to drop that one no problem. And we were wondering what Quig's build was going to be. It's a bit of cooldown, a bit of aura for his squad. What are the Oni Warriors thinking of doing? Seeing maybe if anybody walks outside of the base by themselves. There's 2 on the left side. They should know about this now. That left Phoenix did go back down once more because of the fight around fire. Didn't get protections, so it did fall once again. What are the Oni Warriors trying to plan? Who are they trying to fish for at this point? They spotted out Quig and CaptainTwig. Speed's not available for the Ratatoskr just yet. The cleanse is more than enough from Quig to keep the team alive.
Maybe they're looking for that middle Phoenix with how much auto attack damage they have and just this Fafnir with the Shoguns and the buff from his 2. Actually, Rat looking to go in.
Twig crashed down onto 3. No relics burned yet. The Camelot Kings can keep up their chase. Maybe not.
Frenzy.
A fast sprint by the Oni Warriors. That gets them out of danger, no problem. And all the while, SOT wasn't a part of that fight. Camelot Kings maybe recognizing they had the man advantage. They will keep the fight going, but will push down Tier 2 tower on the right-hand side. That one falls down. And are they looking to keep pushing up this Phoenix?
And Wave in left lane going to be pushing up somewhat soon. Opt to not play it too aggressively. They're looking to just probably get most of these towers down, also try to get that left Phoenix back up. This is still no EFG. This is just a regular FG. They have sustain. Play it slower. I like this.
Tier 2 in mid, under fire by Camelot Kings. Quarter HP on the tower. A couple more in-hands will do so, but not going to fully commit to it just yet. Oni Warriors standing their ground. And Netrioid's got an ultimate just in case a fight does manage to break out. Kraken hits Panitom, gets his beads and a fast dash out, and Pegon's lost half of his health to Jarcorrr and BigManTingz, the damage dealers of the Camelot Kings, getting some hefty relics away from the Warriors.
And I was a little, worried about how this Ullr build is going to play out, but that damage that we just saw right there, that is near one-shot potential. Actually, SoloOrTroll kind of wrapping around, maybe a flank right here.
See him pushing in. Root hits Quig. Panitom nearby, but not going to quite have the follow-up. And in fact, speaking on the build from Jarcorrr, didn't go into what is the more traditional kind of Envenom Deathbringer. Does go for that Malicious, so some cooldown resets afforded Jarcorrr when he does weave those crits in and out. And he's got plenty of crit chance now with the triple crit in last slots.
And this King's comp is kind of came full circle, because at this point, Hel is a tank. She has gotten past the early portion, the middle portion of the game, where she's not very, tanky. She's very easy to deal with. All she really is just a sustain bot. At this point, full Lonos, Thebes, Breastplate, Sov Lotus, and as you highlighted, this is almost both an Aura-esque build and a cooldown-esque build. Still got that last item. Can see kind of if he wants to go for maybe an Asclepius or a Last Gasp or some sort of other damage item. But so far, she's filling out that role of being that frontliner with this build. She's also got a lot of cooldown spam ability with how strong Breastplate is. So maybe something to be said there about how strong Hel's looking right now.
I think right now the big downfall is when you look over at the healing chart. Sure, Netrioid's put out nice, almost 6,000 on the Olorun. Not an easy task to do in a game like this, but the 16,000 in response by Quig is really what's keeping the Camelot Kings alive. Because you look over, damage chart-wise, everything that Quig has healed has effectively nullified all of Panitom's damage, all of SOT's damage, or all and then some of another couple of players. It's really only Net and Pegon that haven't been voided out by this Hel just yet. Genetics jumps into 3, gets the hammer onto Jarcorrr, but takes a bit more damage than he was maybe thinking he would with that jump.
And the trade potential, as long as there's no all-in, the trade potential is actually blinking by Solo.
Hot half HP. Kraken does clip Genetics, and Netrioid taken by field, but they're low. CaptainTwig's in the middle, use the beads to dash out. Sot only has 100 HP, and Variety is going to keep this chase on. Root is good. Whirlpool locks in Genetics. CaptainTwig spins in, gets the stun. Genetics jumps out. He's still alive for the time being, but the Kings are healthy. They can keep this chase up, or they can turn back because they know that they can head straight to fire.
And actually, really good play by the Warriors. As long as the Kings don't burst this, but they're getting there so quickly. This should just be a burst angle. They got the Deathbringer, they got the crit. This should just be free Fire Giant for the Kings.
Pegon has ults if he wants to jump in. Genetics has his as well. It's Panitom first in the pit. The Kings get the enhanced Fire Giant, and now Pegon might just be a bit out of position. Ultimate for him either drops him back in place or takes him to an enemy. I may be surprised we didn't see the Kings go a little further forward. Instead, it's Fire Giant, enhanced at that, plus a Pyromancer for the Kings.
And really great trade by the Kings there. Yes, they don't get kills, but they bully out enough that the Warriors are forced to reset, and it's a lot of them are forced to reset. It's just Pegon, just Panitom there, a 5v2. That's not a good contest point by the Warriors. They just don't have that frontliner there. It looks like the Warriors maybe want to contest this Oni Fury.
Fury low. Genetics jumps in again in the middle of 5, but there's no turnaround back to him. Instead, it's on CaptainTwig, who uses his beads. Panitom uses as well. Twig up to the sky. Kraken clips Netrioid. This time, Variety is stuck inside the Sanctified Field. He uses all of his relics to try and stay alive, and Netrioid goes down to Variety. It's CaptainTwig still in the back line, and Jarcorrr pumping out damage from the Kings. Genetics still too far forward. 3rd HP on him. Variety, the new target, but Panitom has got to dash out. BigManTingz, he's all by himself, but CaptainTwig's at the backup. In response, 2 down on the Warriors, make it 3. It's a rampage for Yark, and a double kill for Jarcorrr. SOT is the only one alive, but it's a jump in and a good stun by CaptainTwig to net the Kings yet another deicide.
Huge deicide right there by the Kings. They have the timing to also go down mid here. They have the Oni wave, and they've got enough damage to go for this end here. What an incredible fight to end it by the Kings. They kite out well enough. They get enough, you know, trading out, and then they just sustain up. And if you saw the end of that fight, Panitom did not use Onk until like the last second. That was such a small Onk and not impactful for that entire fight.
Such a back and forth fight. At any moment, it felt like one team could have just pulled out a win. But again, it comes down to Quig, I think, on this hell, keeping the team alive, always sticking with the lowest health target member on his team, and keeping those heals up, gives the Camelot Kings a much-deserved win after a brutal early game from them.
And did that not give you Phase 1 hell vibes? Like that exact game? Just
bit.
How it was played out? Not punished early game because she's too tanky. Not punished mid game, she just sustains too much. And then late game, both things collide together, too tanky, too sustainy, and it's just impossible to win fights. And I think something else I want to say is Pegon on this Chernobog was not impactful like we've seen him be. Usually we see him ult in, take a bunch of 1v1s. Other than the one on Variety where he kind of wrapped around, this was a pretty, you know, not Pegon-esque performance.
It really kind of felt like the peak of the Chernobog was the two-man gank at Phoenix on Variety, and then Pegon also going over to try and solo Variety, doesn't get him, nearly solos him again, and then goes back to base. And then outside of that, just felt like we really didn't see much from the Chernobog this game. Just not really utilizing that global very much.
Yeah, I definitely think it was underutilized, not really splitting. They had that left Phoenix actually down super early, but they didn't use it to their advantage. They didn't send Pegon there. Pegon just kind of grouped with them and didn't really ever use the ultimate.
So I'm curious to see now how the Oni Warriors make their adjustment, because this is a game that they probably felt like was all them. They had all the momentum in the early game. They're winning team fights. They're knocking down the solo laner consistently. But they're not getting the kills elsewhere on the map. And they just kept letting this hell get online and get online. And I think the biggest factor that pulls in from all of this was just there's no anti-heal to really deal with this hell. We'll see what adaptations the Oni Warriors make in game number 2. It's game 1 for the Camelot Kings. We'll take it to a quick break. We'll be right back.
happy songs one day. I'll be doing more than great. But now I miss ya, I miss ya. Miss ya, I miss ya. We got lost in each other, so we just kept on falling. But we touched the sky, yeah, we touched the sky. And we dove in the deep end, tried to find one more reason to hold back the night. We held back the night. I'll be over you, okay? I'll be doing more than great. But I just miss ya, I miss ya. I'll sing happy songs one day. I'll be doing more than great. But now I miss ya, I miss ya. I will never smile for you, smile for you, smile for you, smile for you. I will never cry for you, cry for you, cry for you, cry for you. I can't take this anymore. You say we're done, but you still want more. Baby, what I need is you out the door. This time I'm sure, yeah, that you're a bad boy, up to no good. Trying to be a man, but you're stuck in boyhood. Baby, you won't ever treat me the way you should. So it's over for good. I will never smile for you, smile for you, smile for you, smile for you. Yeah. I will never cry for you, cry for you, cry for you, cry for you. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Why do you expect me to when I'm over you? Can't you tell by the look on my face that I will never smile for you, smile for you, smile for you, smile for you? It's been chaos from the start. Can't believe I made it this far. Guess I needed it to see who you really are. Breaker of hearts, yeah. You made your bed, now lie in it, baby. Rest your head, let it dream about me. Cause I'm fed up with you crazy. I will never smile for you, smile for you, smile for you, smile for you. Yeah. I will never cry for you, cry for you, cry for you, cry for you. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Why do you expect me to when I'm
Ah! Fantastic strawberry peach flavored Maui's tropical splash along with the shaker. A beautiful, like, and I mean this genuinely, some of my favorite colors at the very top for the shaker, of which I am jealous of everyone who has one in their possession. The beautiful, it's been a while since I've geeked out about these, so I'm going to do it again. The lids on the advanced GG shakers are like genuinely really good. The bottles are great. The flavor is great there for Maui's Tropical Splash. So try to prolong the summer as long as you can. Get yourself a bottle. Are those still technically bottles when they're that big? What is that? Like just container?
Yeah,
that sounds weird though.
I think it's tub. Tub works,
Tub.
you know, whatever you want to call it.
Get yourself a tub of Maui's Tropical Splash while it's still available. And thanks for tuning in, which Chelly, blink and things go crazy. So 13-2 is what the kill line did read at one point in favor of the Warriors.
Yep.
I think it was 15-13, 14-13 in favor of the Kings, 15-14 in favor of the Kings at the very end. And a lot of it was I mean, it's just Warriors, it's Warriors, it's Warriors, it's Warriors. Oh my god, now there's healing. Okay, it's Kings, it's Kings, it's Kings, it's Kings. That was the real change in the game.
Yeah, it seemed to me that the Oni Warriors valued lane matchups over just what would have worked better, just blanket statement. You can't tell me in any world that the Ama and the Raven switch and that matchup goes the same. They needed more burst. They were fighting into a healing composition, and they had just full tanks, right? If you have Panitom on full burst Raven, healing becomes a lot less prominent. But I think Sot wanted to own variety in the solo lane matchup. And he did, sure. He got ahead in solo. Did that end up mattering? No. Who cares about lane when variety hits level 20 before just about everyone else anyways? The man knows how to farm. Say what you want about variety. He gets ganked, he gets put down. He will get to level 20 pretty even, right? He will get online eventually, and when he does, now you've got a Raven solo who is tanky. You've got an Ama jungle who is tanky. And if Netrioid and Pegon can't carry the weight of the world DPS-wise, Quig is going to heal you guys up. Quig is going to heal off all of your damage. It just was not a good composition if they weren't going to end pre-30 minutes, and that's not what they could do. They tried. They got to a point where they were ahead, but once it was late game, it was going to be all Camelot Kings. They just had the well-rounded composition, whereas, you know, like I said, Panitom and Sot's dive was just non-existent into a comp like this once you get to this point.
It's a lot of like what you said, which coming into this, the Kings in a position where they would love nothing more than anything to end their phase. This is their last set against the Warriors with a win, right? It'd be 5-5 total, right? An even phase for them. It's actually been a long time since we've seen the Kings have a negative phase. But get them an even phase, get them into a comfortable spot, but more importantly for a mental rebound, get a win. And that's a great step forward, and it's got to be a little undoing. Also, I think it's worth highlighting, right? 6,000 healing, first off, from Netrioid, not too shabby. But 21,000 from Quig, and 21 really effective thousand at that, I think makes the big difference. 0012 for him, 1, 3, and 10 for Twig. And like you said, even if Variety is going to take his lumps in lane, he's going to match you at some point, and you're going to have to worry about it. And Jarcorrr was in a majority of those highlights. So everybody on the Kings, it feels like kind of Voltroning together to coalesce and take down the Warriors after the Warriors kind of rolled them for the first few minutes. And so now the question marks are flying all around, because I was very certain, Shelly, that we were going to get some goofy games from the Warriors, period. Yep. And you know, you had even said, like, there's no way Panitom takes an Ama unless, like, they're trying to convince him to troll. So maybe there was some conversation there. Maybe it's because of the Poseidon conversation we were having. But this is a team that does not take losing very well, as we have learned this year. Individual games, they can usually shrug off. Sets they don't like, and it's only happened a few times, right? They've got 2 in the column right now, and so when you add on the entirety of the first half of the year, that means they've lost 3 total sets this year, and I'm assuming they are not looking to add too many. They want to keep that single digits and primarily one hand as long as they can. So now I'm curious as to what kind of Warriors clapback we're going to get as we jump into Game 2. Kings will be on the right-hand side. Warriors with first pick. Naja and Aphrodite were included in the Warriors ban phase the first time around. Charlie, I'm going to ask you up front, ideally before they lock anything in. Do you think they go back to those?
I wouldn't be surprised if they went back to the same bans. That's not an issue for me. It really was just the switch up between the 2 picks and caring a little bit too much about the lane matchup as opposed to who's going to be doing the diving later on. And I do think that, you know, the call from the Warriors was, hey, we've got double ADC, we've got a lead early. Like, that should check all the boxes, but it just did not, because Quig was having such a good performance. Jarcorrr put out way too much damage on that Ullr. There was, of course, Variety doing the same amount of damage pretty much with the Poseidon solo, even though he was getting so far behind. So there was definitely some gameplay switch-ups that the Oni Warriors could have done. Not sure they have to switch up the bans too much. It was just, hey, we could have ended earlier if we had a better draft. Let's just get that better draft.
Watch carefully as the last couple of bans roll out. Umoja Athena from the Kings, not too surprising. Raijin was banned out by the Warriors last time, along with the Naja and the Aphrodite. One of those is going to have to be missing. Naja's there, but Baba Yaga takes its place. The Warriors not willing to first pick it. And Trelly, this is such a very weird thought to have strike me just now. But Oxy in the back there. We have talked a lot with him. And a lot of the times what Oxy will say, especially if we pull him for an interview, he doesn't necessarily like it as much because he's not as confident in his English as he is obviously his Spanish, right, his native tongue. And it kind of just made me wonder, like, team dynamic-wise, how that affects him, right? Before, when you have Shinto and Rongyu and Jarcorrr on your team, they were just all speaking Spanish to each other. Now I'm kind of curious, with SOT, with Pegon, Genetics, having Panitom and Netrioid. I'm curious about the coach dynamic to the players and how the conversations happen.
Yeah, I imagine you can't really have that Spanish conversation anymore, just because why would...
Or like Panitom and Netrioid are working overtime and as translators as well.
it just there's not too many call outs that a jungler would need to tell an ADC and no one else would need to know.
Well, I was
right?
thinking
Like,
more coach to player thing. Like,
okay, that makes
if
sense.
Oxy needs to say something to Genetics, how well he words it.
Yeah, that checks out. That makes a little bit more sense here.
Yeah, no, I'm not thinking like Panitom's just like, you know what, I'm going to screw with Pegon today. Just only Spanish.
Well,
it would be funny, though.
it would be
Maybe
funny.
that's how they troll each other.
That would be a good way to troll as well. Oni Warriors. They do not want to give Yark the Ullr once again. We're going to lock that one in first. Remember, SOT did say in his interview he wanted to go to the Ullr. The Camelot Kings took it away from him. Now maybe he gets his chance to grab it.
And the Raijin Rat response, though, makes me wondering. At the top, with Chernobog, Opwash banned, Raijin would have been, if we had been more on topic of picks and bans at the time, probably okay, lock that in, it's easy choice, there's nothing that's going to contest it. Do you like seeing Ull picked up over that in a competitive setting where you're down one game already?
I think it's a confidence pick. You go to Ullr when you're feeling, you're feeling Ullr. Jarcorrr last game was feeling Ullr. Do you want to give that back to him? Probably not. So that's probably why the Oni Warriors #1. I mean, SOT came in before picks and bans and said he was feeling Ullr. So you give it to who's confident. We'll see if it even goes over towards SOT. But now that you've got the Khepri here for Genetics as well, remember that was also banned away from the Oni Warriors by the Camelot Kings in game #1. It's a good change-up, but the Hell comes back in. Anti-heal has gotta have to be a lot more prioritized than it was in game #1 as well.
Well, the Kings deal with some anti-heal immediately. Odin taken off the board. Susano for their second ban to try and limit some of the Warriors' play style. Scylla and Agni banned out by the Warriors, which means they are assuming Raijin solo, Rat Jungle Hell support, which, admittedly, given what we've seen the last few weeks and specifically even last game, Charlie kind of tracks. So for BigManTingz, this is going to be a deep pull. I feel like we haven't seen him in a while, so I don't know why it was the first god that came to mind, but Kukul Khan jumped out immediately to me. His Hera, Discordia, a lot of picks that maybe aren't the top of the meta, but Tings will play and absolutely knock it out of the park with.
Add a Rama to the mix. Trying to get that late game rolling. Remember, the Camelot Kings composition as a whole looked a little bit squishy. Variety had a rough time, but they were able to get to late game. And that is where Rama is the strongest, right? When you get to that late game, when you get that deep into your actual build. So, not a bad look. Just trying to make sure that they have some late game hard carries available. But I want to see the Oni Warriors reveal to me if it is just going to be SOT on the Ullr, or if this will go towards Pegon in the mid lane possibly, or what have you. I mean, there's still a lot of gods available, and I do want to see more so of the, Susano's banned away, but that could have been a great grab for Panitom. The Amaterasu was just not the pick that I want to see over into the jungle anymore, especially when Hell is available. It's just not going to get the most value. Tiamat. This is actually a pick that I've seen SOT take solo before, but I would definitely prefer it over in Pegon's hands in the mid lane. And then with the Thor lock in, yeah, there could be some switch ups, but I think you just give SOT his Ullr, let Pegon take the Tiamat mid, then give Panitom over towards the Thor. Full damage as well. I don't want to see any breastplates, just full damage Thor.
Keep it straightforward. I'm actually surprised the Tiamat was another pick that I was going to say, hey, Tings really likes that one, goes back to it often. With Tiamat Khepri, you're relatively tanky. And Chel, I guess, the man, I'm about to ask you a really weird, dumb question, and I'm okay with that, because all sense says Ullr, SoloOrTroll, already mentioned it, talked about it, has played it in solo, and of these makes the most sense to go over there, Olorun, over towards the left. But is there any world where you see Thor on this team going solo and somebody else trying to do something weird in the jungle?
No, there's no junglers besides a Thor locked in here. You could switch it up, but especially after the game one that the Oni Warriors had, there's no way you're going to a grab like that. I like the run back at this point, but Poseidon locked in. Do you switch up and say, the Raijin and the Poseidon both have the ability to play in the mid lane? The Rat could go towards solo. I think you just give variety back to Poseidon. I've got no problems with that. He was playing, again, he got owned early, as he should. There's no fun time for a Poseidon in that matchup. Early game. He got to level 20, and that's when he just started doing ridiculous amounts of damage. The setup was clean. The movement speed was annoying. I send it back for sure. I would definitely give the Poseidon over to variety. However, you have to talk about which mage would you rather have full damage.
Yeah.
And because Poseidon's got the movement speed, the juke shoes for lack of a better term, he can get in and out a little bit easier. Raijin has been making his name with that cooldown build, very tanky, very annoying to deal with. At that point, maybe you do want the Raijin in the solo lane. I don't know. It's a toss-up for me.
The only reason I'm feeling that Poseidon might be the right one is just because they hovered RDO right before it, and I cannot imagine that Tings was like, y'all lock me in RDO, baby. But like you said, Poseidon keeps things maybe a little bit more fresh and does change up a lot of that. I guess in a matchup, if I kind of straight up assumed, Tiamat going mid, Ullr going solo, mainly because of Sot pregame.
Yep.
And actually history, he kind of plays that god a lot. Though, worth mentioning, Worlds this last year, Pegon on Ullr, one of the best game performances and maybe player performances that we got to see, despite the fact that I don't think they got past that round. It looked real good, though. With that, I guess, Tiamat versus Ullr, who you like in mid, who you like in solo, and then their matchup, who you'd prefer to see them go up against.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a fun time to be like an Ullr in that mage solo matchup just because there's so much sustain. If you're not 100-0ing someone, they're going to heal up off the next wave and then just, continue. That's just how mage solos work at the moment. So it's annoying. I don't think that Sot's picking the Ullr. If, again, it is going to Sot, which I think it is. I don't think he's picking that Ullr to just dominate lane matchups. I think he wants to get farm, wants to get online, rotate out, and just, W key. That's kind of the play style anyway, so that's what I would expect from him. There is potential for solo kills, but it's few and far between. It's all about getting aggressive before the itemization catches up with you, before this Poseidon or Raijin gets tanky.
We'll have to see how that shakes out, and again, if it's going to be a Poseidon or a Raijin, we'll jump into Game 2 with the casters.
We'll have to see where all these picks end up landing for Game 2 between the Warriors and the Kings. It's J-Mac inbound and Doug here to bring you the action. We'll be SOT on the Ullr variety, back on the Poseidon once more. Means that we will have a physical versus magical solo once more. Not going to be the Assassin v Mage, instead it'll be Hunter v Mage, but really the only player in the league right now playing this Ullr in solo lane has been Sot, and he's had some hot games with it in the past. He's had some middling ones. I'm not going to say not, because it's not like he was doing 0-4 kind of games, but I believe the last time that he did play the Ullr, he had a fantastic, stellar performance on a game 1, absolutely blowing everybody out of the water. And then the next game, it was kind of almost like he just existed in solo lane.
Yeah, that's kind of the SoloOrTroll coin flip you have. Some games he'll go absolutely insane and he'll kind of carry you. Next game, maybe he starts going insane and then he starts running it a little bit, starts playing a little over-aggressive. And I think one of the games he was actually 7-0 at one point and ended the game 8-5 after kind of dying a little bit too much late game. But I still think Ullr solo is something I'll happily put SoloOrTroll on, because it's just the chance of him giving you a win is so high on this character, the playmaking potential, the 1v1 potential. I would not be surprised if Solo has 2 kills before this hits before Variety hits level 5. Like, there is potential for that, and that's how good Solo is on this character.
You can already see he wants to kind of keep that potential up. Starting to throw damage over towards Variety and the Wave. We'll switch back over into the Axe stance, waiting for that cooldown to come back up before he tries to jump in and get aggressive on the Wave. He can both poke Wave and Variety. That's a win. Axe toss gets the beads, immediately hits him with a full combo in bow form. But Variety, fast beads, gets him out. And not as much damage to Variety as you would have thought with that combo yet.
Yeah, I mean, the damage is pretty mediocre, and then you have the Vamp Shroud, you have the little trinket, tiny trinket, whatever it's called. You're going to be healing up that small bit of poke that Ullr does early, but that's beads down. That's potential for Panitom to just walk over, get a wall, get a free kill. So I think that's worth for Solo, even though he doesn't trade all too well. It is just a free beads, essentially, at that point. So I like that he goes for that. Also, a lot of beads in this game. 8 beads. The only ones opting for non-beads are those supports, which is, I mean, pretty common. Sometimes you'll see that, but both junglers rotating over to duo.
Panitom leading the charge with CaptainTwig hot on his heels. Panitom trying to steal away the shield buff if he can. CaptainTwig doesn't get the stun, and so it's able to get stolen away by Panitom, and now Quig is in danger. Wall should be up for Panitom, but instead just goes in with the hammer. Maybe it didn't put a point in it this time, so could have been a potential kill, but instead the damage just keeps Quig poked out.
Also, I'm pretty sure Twig's Acorn Blast left the shield camp with 1 health. I think it was that close, or maybe it was like 7 or something. It was a small number, but Quig very low on left side. Does pop the med, getting a little bit healthier. One barely off the mark by Netrioid. Panitom is here, but that's sustained by Hell. I mean, it's going to take a little bit of time, but she'll be back to half health in no time.
Panitom's going to go back. CaptainTwig spots him out. Won't let him leave for free, but not really going to pick a fight. Not necessarily one that he wants to take. It's just to walk by, let him know, hey, I can see you. You should probably back somewhere safer. And Panitom does just that. Able to go back and get that tier 2 mace. Meanwhile, CaptainTwig on the tier 2 Acorn for the time being. And going to go ahead and steal a green buff. Pegon dealing with the Wave. Some of the early struggles of the Tiamat. Not the best at the Wave clear. Means that he's going to lose out on a buff.
Yeah, I mean, especially comparing it to Raijin. And curious, a lot of the times we see this Raijin in mid, it's not a Vamp Shroud. It's just the Sands of Time into Book, Breastplate. But actually opting for a Vamp Shroud, so maybe that means maybe Big Man goes for a slightly more defensive mid lane build, maybe something in the vein of that solo lane build. Also, I would expect a Typhons if you go this Vamp Shroud, but maybe it is a slight switch up with his build in mid.
We do see 5s now achieved for solo laners. It's not quite going to see those kills we were maybe expecting over on the right-hand side. You see a fight over the shield camp once more. Does get secured by the Camelot Kings. It's not enough damage from the Warriors. Take that one away. It's keeping the gold even. XP bouncing a little bit in favor of the Camelot Kings, and a lot of that afforded by BigManTingz, level 6 versus the 5 of his lane opponent Pegon. It's keeping the Camelot Kings afloat in XP. Variety walled and beads down. Kraken in response gets beads from Sot. So now no relics for either of the solo laners, but all Panitom's got to do is this: sit inside the fire giant and wait for Variety to step out of tower.
And both of these junglers gank solo lane incredibly easily, and it's pretty free. It's not like they have to overextend and dive like some gods have to. So I'd expect big contention, maybe next blue buff blue buff spawn is where the fight is going to break out. But Kraken is now down for a little bit. And when you have these matchups in solo lane where one's a stance switcher and one's not, that's kind of a big cooldown along with those relics to keep an eye on. So when Variety's ultimate comes back up, I think that's when maybe the Kings will look to be a little bit more aggressive.
Wave to wave between the duo lane. BigManTingz thinks will get damage against Pegon. Wants to try and stop this back if he can, but not going to step into tower to do so. Still, 1 level up for BMT in the mid lane. Book of Thoth now online for both of the mid laners. It is stack advantage slightly for BMT. Wall, hammer, not enough. CaptainTwig going to try and steal away and successfully takes away the Shaman Camp experience. Totem Mask will still at least go the way of the Oni Warriors, but denying farm bit by bit, keeping some of that XP away from Pegon, away from Panitom. It's buying time for Variety. He's got 90 seconds now until those beads come back up. Ultimate from Netrioid to fight over shield buff. Throws out the orbs for a bit of extra damage, but that's a hefty ultimate to use for that one. Beats from Panitom and from CaptainTwig. So now every set of beats down on the right side while it's a potential 1v1 solo up in the mid lane. BMT, Thunder Crash in. Knockup is there by Pegon. He needs every shot, needs one more in hand, but BigManTingz, he can't get the Raijin to land. And instead it's gonna be a turn and burn on the right side. CaptainTwig, first blood against Panitom. And maybe more against SOT. Twig's got ultimate.
beats.
He can jump right off of the branch onto SOT. Axe toss is there, but Whirlpool keeps Sod from going around. Sod turns out for one, but Variety needs one more. The totem, the Bastion buying some time for SOT. Variety though gonna try and chase out. He takes a tower shot, and it's a trade out, a double for Sod, but 4 dead on the right side.
Wow, what a 2v2. That was so interesting to watch. Maybe an ability missed here, an ability missed there, but other than that, pretty clean by both sides. But, I mean, a big part of that is, look at Panitom's level. He just ticked over to level 6. CaptainTwig was level 6 that entire fight. That is probably a big part of that 2v2 and why it goes in favor. CaptainTwig able to put out a lot more damage than Panitom is at that point. Also, Rat had full Acorn there, and full Acorn in those early games fights is an incredible amount of damage.
Also, why did Variety just walk into
He
tower?
juked in a tower.
He sidestepped an auto and went, oops, that's a tower. That probably did 3 times more than a basic attack would have at that point. And in fact, Variety, not content with the 2-for-2 trade on the right side, elects to not fully upgrade his lifesteal item. Instead goes for the breastplate. CaptainTwig and Panitom again on the left side of the map this time. These two junglers are just ping-ponging between the two side lanes. They're just letting BMT and Pegon do their own thing. Focuses everywhere else, and as it should be. The action is with Variety and Sot once more. Variety better into the trade. Vamp Shroud plus that Enchanted Trinket keeping him sustained up.
Yeah, and looking at the junglers, I think Twig is just looking and playing a lot more comfortable than Panitom is. Panitom throwing out that wall almost instantly a lot of the times, and it's just not that close. But we've seen this before in the character, and it's something where mid-game, all it takes is an ability here, ability there, and then you just start getting hot, you start feeling yourself, and you start hitting everything. But so far, Panitom on this Thor, not looking that great.
Variety takes a little bit of damage, but as mentioned, decent lifesteal. Keeps him alive and healthy from any of the poke that Sot has thrown his way so far. Haven't seen too many axe tosses connect just yet from Sot. We saw the one on a CaptainTwig that allowed Sot to get the turn and burn right at the edge of the tier 1 tower. But in the kind of immediate solo match, really the only big axe toss we saw was that very first one, right at that level 2, level 3 point that got the beads. Outside of that, hasn't really seen too much from Sot just yet.
Kind of just farming up a little bit. Talked about this kind of a little bit last game when Jarcorrr was on it. Panitom actually taking a lot of damage, does get the hammer out. No chase it seems, but a lot of burst on a Panitom. But we talked about this a little bit last game with this Ullr. Ullr's not really that much of an early game character anymore. He's fine early game, he's got some CC, some damage, but you're mostly playing him for that mid portion spike and then that late game spike when you get that blue stone. Because we saw it last game. Jarcorrr, when he got that full crit build going, he was one-shotting.
He was swinging. Might be a while before we see SOT swing to the same degree for the Oni Warriors. Take a look at the gold, though. 1,000 up for the Camelot Kings over the Oni Warriors. Variety jukes out the axe from Sot once more, but Variety might be willing to take this fight. Having that defense online going to benefit him in that 1v1 matchup. Where Sot, on a character like this, you know, typically we look at the mages and go, okay, mage, assassin, warrior. They're probably going to build some defense in their kit, Guardians as well. Pretty much Hunter the only class that you're not really wanting to build defense as a solo laner. So, might be a while, if ever, that we see Sot try and counter build up against Variety's damage.
To be fair, if we did see it, I feel like Breastplate Ullr doesn't make the least amount of sense, or it makes enough sense where, like, yeah, maybe if you're fighting against 4 physicals, you'd build into that. But I mean, building into 3 magicals, all of them are mage characters, an assassin, a hunter. Breastplate's not going to make a ton of sense, and I don't think we're going to expecting to see a Shoguns or a Genjis, especially on like an Ullr. I think Ullr in a game like this probably just wants to build full damage, look for that one-shot potential like we saw Jarcorrr go for. Curious if he goes for the crit build again or more of a Crusher Titan's Bane. Hits the axe, a lot of damage on the Variety. Is it enough to kill? I think he has to hit the next axe, and cooldown must be a little bit low, but Variety happy to take that trade right now. I think he's just going to do one more wave and then back for that Pythags.
I really pray for Sot's keyboard. Last time I interviewed him, he said, yeah, my hand's not doing so hot. My keyboard's not feeling real good right now. It's a bit of a tough time with all these Ullr games. Throwing another one. Might just need to get him a new keyboard after this one. Oh, he does already still have to pay the, the ticket that he got. Have to pay to get his new tags for his car and everything like that. So he's already got a lot. Might not have to. He's about to get the keyboard at this point. CaptainTwig, though, going to try and make a point in mid lane. Dunk on top of Pegon is good. BigManTingz to Thunder Crash in. Pegon, he's going to go into the ultimate. He uses the Aegis, but the drums are waited out, and BigManTingz will strike in mid. Level 14 now for the Raijin. Beacon up in 50 seconds, but it's the Camelot Kings with their third kill.
Again, great setup by Twig there. Pulls the beads, dashes out, gets enough damage out, and it's pretty free pickup there for BigManTingz. And looking at jungle, still a 2-level lead in jungle for Twig. And when I think of how hot and cold Twig has kind of played this phase, Rat's that character that like I keep coming back to where he looks fantastic on this character.
Rats look great. The Lancelot, the Hun Bats, he's really kind of solidified himself with those 3 picks. Kraken by Variety to try and steal red. This is how you know you've got a confident solo laner, where he hasn't gone down, he hasn't died yet to his immediate 1v1 opponent. And no matter how confident SOT has been playing, Variety knows that he can still walk up and throw out those Krakens because he's got a hefty chunk of cooldown already afforded to him. Invade towards speed buff. Success for the Oni Warriors. Quig in danger. Sanctified Field is there, and Quig can't walk out. He gets the cleanse just in time to give him the immunity. Jarcorrr crashes down from the sky on his snipes, not getting the damage he was hoping for. The Oni Warriors now playing a bit more confident enemy lines.
And with Beacon up, we saw this fight happen last time, and the Warriors were winning a little bit early, and it seems like they've won enough in that fight that they're just going to be giving it up for free. But last time, the Hell Sustain just did a lot, but it looks like a collapse in mid.
CaptainTwig off the tree, dunks only onto Panitom, does manage to get the beads from Netrioid, but that's a tier 1 tower now for the Oni Warriors. We do see Variety looping around, not sure if anybody has spotted him just yet. Sot walks up, gets slowed down by Quig and immediately backs away. Variety reveals himself from the jungle. With that invade, with that small little skirmish, and the beacon, the Oni Warriors close up the gold lead a bit, only 500 now between these two teams. But the Camelot Kings, even with vision in the pit for the Oni Warriors, it's the Kings who are pulling the objective. Jarcorrr is nearby. Ultimate's still available. Kraken for secure, but it doesn't secure anything but fresh air. It's the Gold Fury to the Oni Warriors. SoloOrTroll steals it away.
Kraken's just not the secure we think it is.
It really isn't.
It's just not the secure. Well, why try to Kraken when there's Hail of Arrows available on the Ullr? You gotta try to force that out first. Even after losing that Gold Fury, Pyro also goes over to the Warriors, but they're going to be trading out this left tier 1 tower for the Kings. Still, huge advantage for the Warriors. Gold Fury, tier 1, Pyro, Beacon. That's 4 wins for just that tier 1 tower on the left side. And actually, it's something I want to talk about, because nothing's going to be happening for a little bit. Everything's off the map. Maybe a tier 1 in mid, but that's just about it. It's interesting to me when Hell picks up med, or any character picks up med into Olorun, because it slows the tick of med. So instead of every 0.5 second, or every 0.5 you get 1.5, it's then like cut in half.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't tick as much.
Yeah, it takes longer for it to go through.
In that fight in mid, he actually almost died because it was ticking so slow and the heal wasn't coming through fast enough. I just thought it was interesting watching that, and it's something I didn't have time to bring up until now.
Yeah, it's one of those small mechanics you don't really think of whenever it comes down to a god like Hell, or I guess in this case a god like Olorun.
Yeah.
With ultimate like that. Time dilation is just such a cool mechanic
It's so
in
interesting.
Smite. It's no fun to play into, but it's a really cool one to theoretically just, talk about, discuss, and see what all it does affect. Just like how Variety now has to walk back to tier 1 tower, as Genetics has made a far rotation over to the right side of the map. Twig is nearby as well. CaptainTwig does have ultimate, will break the ward. So Sot and Genetics now know that there is a jungler nearby. And speaking of junglers, I think that was the next point I wanted to go towards. We had a 2-level deficit by Panitom. Now even with CaptainTwig nearly taken down, damage from Sot really ringing in. Duncan from Panitom, wall connects. The double tap wasn't there, but the hammer poured in after one. Genetics gives Panitom the revive. He uses it under the tower. Pegon dives deep and takes down Variety. Thunder crash in by BMT and Jarcorrr. Full HP on the Ram. Goes up into the sky for the snipes. It's towards Pegon. Gets two, needs the third and more, but it's not enough damage. Instead,
Quig?
It's a turn to Quig. Double kill for Pegon. And the Oni Warriors have gotten a 3 for none.
And that is a 5v4 fight. The Kings were 5 strong here. Net has not rotated, not thought about rotating, and they just wiped them, well, not wiped them, but they 3-for-0'd them at the exact same time. Net is actually hitting this tier 2 tower. Panitom reset and is walking out of base to go help him in left lane. Yes, they get a tier 1 tower in right, but when you send 5 people there to match 4, you need to do better than trading 3 for 1 tower.
Now Netrioid makes the 1-1 trade on tower, but as mentioned, Oni Warriors went out in the fight during all of that. 3-0 for themselves. And going back to what I was starting at before that fight, the jungler deficit. It was a 2-level lead for CaptainTwig. And then at that 9 versus 11, Panitom closed it back to 11. Twig still keeping it slightly up. But now Panitom is the one who actually hits 14 before CaptainTwig. So all it really felt like was that one green buff invade goes right for the Warriors. And now Panitom feels like he's got the confidence back on the Thor.
Yeah, and he hit that nice wall double tap combo. And then he gets the Khepri ult to actually survive and respawns back in. And now, with all these cooldowns coming back up, ultimates, relics coming up in about 60 seconds, we've got Gold Fury and Pyro spawning. And last time we saw it, it was the Kings enforcing a Gold Fury fight, saying, come match us. The Warriors don't match, trade out that Pyro. And instead, Solo just gets the secure. So now, curious if the Kings are going to try to play it the same way, if they want to maybe force the Gold Fury. They have the sustain, so trading is always going to be good, trading, you know, health, especially with Beacon also spawning. But this is kind of going to be a big setup for the next objectives.
Wall double tap by Panitom, doesn't give much. Pegon jumps away from the Camelot Kings. We start to see a group up around Beacon. Twig gets connected by some damage from Panitom, but Camelot Kings will control the Beacon because where in the last fight, Netrioid was nowhere to be found. This time it's Sot split pushing. Right side, tier 1 tower. Now, rotation from Variety for a moment, but instead the Kings, they might just go towards Pyromancer. SOT now rotating in. It's a frenzy pop to try and secure that one. The Camelot Kings do get the Pyro, but what about the fight after? Variety's at half health. A crit from SOT does some good damage to Variety, but CaptainTwig, where will he dunk down in? Panitom in response, doesn't find the dunk target he was looking for, but walls off the rest of the team. Stun on the Panitom by CaptainTwig. He tried to turn this one around, but as a revive comes through from Genetics, it keeps him alive, and Pegon is now turning this one back in. Needs the damage after, and he gets it. That's 1 for him and 1 for his teammate. 2 down on the Camelot Kings, while Netrioid and Genetics zone out another, and Quig left to the wolves. It's SOT with another kill, and now CaptainTwig, wall, not enough damage. Panitom not going to be able to get that kill. Just another 3-0 for the Warriors.
And such an easy beginning start to that fight with how much they outtraded. Netrioid actually flanked at the speed buff to pick up the kill onto Variety and actually zoned out Tings at the same time. And all through that, no Fire Giant yet. They opt to reset, get to full health, and then come back out of base. But it looks like Fire Giant going to be the call right here. No Frenzy, but no one's really alive on the King side, and if they are alive, they're nowhere near this fire.
Fire started. BigManTingz the only one who could get there, and Panitom's just going to walk up menacingly towards him and keep him away from the objective. Oni Warriors 19-minute Fire Giant will keep themselves active. 4,700 gold up, 4K, or I should say 4K gold, 4,700 XP, and a Runic Bomb for Pegon on the push. Gotta note, Camelot Kings did get that last Pyromancer, but because the fight started up almost immediately, didn't get a chance to pick it up and make use of it at all. So now it's the Oni Warriors. They drop a Runic Bomb and a Kraken. Hits a couple. CaptainTwig splits the uprights. This time has to dash back, and BMT not going to get a lot of value from his ultimate. Wall from Panitom now to the sky. Where will his dunk be? He's got a few great targets. He misses Variety, but he gets Quig and Jarcorrr. Quick cleanse and beads to try and keep themselves alive. But Phoenix was the goal for the Warriors, and they get just that.
And SoloOrTroll is doing the same build that Jarcorrr had last game. The amount of damage that you are able to put out on this Ullr with this build, even at this point, 4 items, not even having the finished Deathbringer, the finished starter, he is half-healthing anybody who gets hit by an ability into an auto. The auto attack cancels, it's just, the damage is just insane.
I mean, he did, what was that, 540 to a buff camp? Now, I know a buff camp's weaker than a god, but when you're not even full build, no upgraded Bluestone, no Deathbringer, the Hydra's 540 whatever damage, that's it pretty hard. I don't want that to be me. I pray that I'm not that minion that's getting hit by that damage.
Me too. God, me too. That would be pretty scary.
That would hurt. Can you imagine getting hit for that much damage? Like in real life, someone
How
just comes
much would that damage be? Like,
Well-
how much is 600 damage? Is that like how do you quantify it?
It's like somebody broke your arm.
No, I wouldn't want to get my arm broke then.
How do you equate like in-game health to real-world health? Like how many hit points do you think you're worth?
Well, minions are like trained soldiers, and I'm not a trained soldier, so I probably have like
Less than
200.
a minion. Oh no, it's doomed for us. This is the momentum that the Oni Warriors in Game 1, though, were hoping that they could have had up against the Camelot Kings. 2 fights, both of them go 3-0, even if they don't necessarily get the objective they were looking for. Now the Oni Warriors, with fire on all 5, group up on left side. Tier 2 tower down. Only 2 Tier 2 in mid left to defend. Or it could just be another Phoenix. Whirlpool used up. Tiamat Lizards has extra minions to walk in, but not going to get a whole lot of damage
Big
yet.
Sun.
Instead,
Wow.
Stun onto SOT. Wall by Panitom. Only hits Quig this time. But CaptainTwig's got to go back to base. It opens up a chance for the Phoenix. Ultimate used by BigManTingz, but it doesn't get a whole lot of value. CaptainTwig goes in, finds a stun on top of 2, gets a sanctified field and a crack in response. Netrioid's alive for now, but the snipes from Yark have got to be on point. It doesn't matter though. Genetics has thrown his revive on top. CaptainTwig dunks onto 2, but dashes back. The Phoenix still alive through it all, but might not be for much longer as Panitom goes up to the sky, zones out Twig and Variety, and allows the left bird to fall.
And that looked like it was going in favor of Kings for most of that fight, but they just don't have that all-in potential. If it's not Twig kind of going in and cleaning up or one-shotting someone, feels like the Kings just don't have an opportunity to kill, and this Khepri is really providing a lot of safety.
BMT, no ultimate, has his relics and uses the beads just to get out, but SOT might not be done. Axos hits CaptainTwig, but he missed the damage follow-up after, and it's Pegon diving to the bird. Throws down the tornado to chase out Quig, while CaptainTwig's got to dash away from Panitom, who's just going to keep up this chase. Bubble is back up for CaptainTwig, but he's got a long way to run to get away from the Warriors.
No fire giant up. Pyro seems to be the call by the Warriors. They got left Phoenix. They've got right Phoenix. They've got pressure going down both side lanes with these fire waves. Fire is dropping off in 3 seconds. Getting ready for all these objectives. This is going to be kind of crossing the T's, dotting the I's, getting everything ready to go for the next siege, because past that 10-minute mark, this game feels like it's been almost all Warriors.
Yeah, where was that team fight on right? That 4v5 in solo lane. That was 3-0 for the Warriors and a Tier 1 tower. Sure, they trade down and got a Tier 1 tower as well for the Camelot Kings, but then the Oni Warriors take another fight. It's another 3-0 and another tower that goes down. Now the Oni Warriors have a 7,000 gold lead against the Camelot Kings. Full build for Assad, minus starter item. Still needs to get the gold to finish up that Bluestone, but we're starting to hit that power curve that we saw from Jarcorrr in game number 1 on this god. A step up around Fire Giant, spawning in here in just a few seconds. Camelot Kings the first on the scene, but the Oni Warriors hot on their heels.
And Pegon's going for either Tier 2 Pythags or Tier 2 Soul Gem. He's got no % pen in his kit. And it's... Maybe in some games it makes sense if you have a really squishy solo. Maybe a fight actually happening here. Quig, nice peel here. Solo on the backside. Panitom, huge ult.
Jarcorrr uses all of his relics. The Kraken's not enough to peel him out. It's Sot with the killing spree. Dives in with Panitom. CaptainTwig on the run. BigManTingz trying to zone, but he might have to trade his life as well as Variety. He got zoned out from the rest of his team. Now Variety's on the run from Pegon. The bull minion goes out. Variety's resustaining back in. Pegon dives, but he's got the ultimate to secure the kill. 5 in a row now for the mid laner of the Oni Warriors, and 3 down again on the Camelot Kings. It's a third 3 for 0, and it might be even more. SOT finds CaptainTwig with 1 shot of damage. Quig goes up to the sky. Thunder crash in by BMT, but the axe toss is there. BMT uses the Yagas, and now Genetics is here to play backup. He picks up a double kill of his own. The Oni Warriors get a 5 for none and add a Phoenix to that, and maybe a little bit more. Yark only up in 2 seconds. It's 2 alive now for the Camelot Kings. Panitom up to the sky. Titan in the throne room. Pegon crashing alongside Panitom, but Jarcorr's able to get back to the fountain. The Titans are squaring off. It's a frenzy from Quig. The rest of the Oni Warriors, they haven't grouped up just yet. There's still time to go for this end call, but the Warriors are playing it so slowly.
And slowly safe. I think this is one of those 2 safe, 2 slow calls. Titan was down to 3,000 health. You had Olorun there. Khepri was right there, both sitting at nearly full health. That's just an end right there. I think that's a little bit of a miss by the Warriors there. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a little safe, yes, but they have 3 Phoenixes down. They're going to be getting Fire Giant right now. All these fights have been all Warriors. This has not been a close game. And even if, you know, maybe we saw a potential end there, they're still in an incredibly comfy spot to actually get the win still.
This has been an 11-0 swing from the Warriors. The game started 2-2. Kings get their 3rd kill, and it's been all Oni Warriors since then. Now, left side Phoenix just respawning. Camelot Kings get a bit of time to recuperate, get some of their itemization back up, get their defenses bolstered, but it's not going to heal up the Titan any at this point. The Titan is taking quite a bit of damage. You're talking about Pegon and his build earlier. No % pen in the build. Did go for the Soul Gem, not the Pythag, so a little bit of extra healing, a little bit of extra damage procs with this build.
Yeah, a little strange, I think. As I was saying, in some games it makes a little bit of sense if there's like a full damage, maybe ADC solo. But I mean, Quig's got a bunch of auras. Variety's got a good amount of magical protections. There's a good amount of protections on the Camelot King side that I think some protections, actually SoloOrTroll gets blinked on.
Does need a ton of damage, but revived by Genetics from max range. CaptainTwig up on the tree, but I don't think he wants to commit to this. He's getting a lot of sustain back from Genetics. There's still a meditation on board as well, but SOT's just life-stealing from all of this. He was nearly dead. In fact, he basically was dead just a moment ago, and now Sot's back to full health, jumping into enemy lines once more. Stun hits Variety. Titan is down to 30%. Twig's down to 0. The Oni Warriors take game number 2.
And that's the kind of Oni Warriors game I expected. They kind of dominated that game past that early portion, and it wasn't close. It was really all Warriors. Those fights weren't very close. The objectives weren't very close. Everything about it was just Warriors.
I mean, we had a nice little 2 versus 2 on the right side. It goes even 2-2. Everybody trading out lives in that first solo bout over by Blue Buff. And then outside of that, it really has truly just been a Warriors game. The 3-0 in solo lane, plus the tier 1 tower, that Netrioid split push during a 4 versus 5. That's the level of confident play that we're more accustomed to seeing with the Oni Warriors.
And then even the 1 gold tier we actually thought the Kings were going to get, Kraken and everything, and it gets stolen by the Ullr. The hail of arrows was enough. But I think we have to look at the P's and B's. I think you see how the Kings drafted and how the Warriors drafted. This Khepri just made it so hard for them to actually kill those frontliners because Khepri just gave so much survivability. I think that's what you got to look at.
And some answers to the anti-heal this time around. Really made it a little bit easier for the Oni Warriors. They're able to tie up the set 1-1, but who's going to get the advantage for match point? We'll find out in Game 3 right after this.
Still in every space of me. My touch the sky, and we dove in the deep end, trying to find one more reason to hold back the night. We held back the night. I'll be over you, okay? I'll be doing more than great, but I just miss ya, I miss ya. I'll sing happy songs one day. I'll be doing more than great, but now I miss ya, I miss ya. You're sleeping with someone new, and I'm in New York for the first time. I hate this weather, but I like the view. It makes me think of new beginnings. Here's to new beginnings. I can't sleep alone, 'cause if I do, I'll think of you. The nights are so long, wondering if you miss me too. I'm losing myself in the city sounds. For a while I'm fine, but as soon as it gets quiet, I know I'm screwed. Oh, I can hear my own heart breaking. Do you hear the sound of my heart breaking over you? You said she was just a friend, and I remember thinking the worst at first, but you made me think it was in my head. Yeah, you just said that I was crazy. I thought that I was crazy. I can't sleep alone, 'cause if I do, I'll think of you the night.
Well, it is a tie set here. The Warriors, Shelly, did not like the way that game one ended and very emphatically say no to game two. Just come in and absolutely control that one. So it is just, again, I don't know if I want to use the term devastating, but it was all Warriors, right? There was not a lot of Kings wins in that game.
No, there wasn't much that was really going well for the Kings in that one. It seemed like the Oni Warriors didn't go for that late game composition. They wanted to get online a little bit earlier. They had the Ullr, they had the Thor. And despite a couple misses from Panitom early on, I really do think that once Sod and once Panitom got ahead, they weren't really letting anyone from the Camelot Kings sort of get back into that game. There was, again, a little bit of a slow start, but that's all it needed. You know, that was kind of all that was required, is to get a little bit online, and then they just sort of kept rolling with it. And that's the dominant playstyle that we've come to expect from the Oni Warriors. Even if there was an opportunity to find a kill, Genetics was usually pretty on point with the Scarab's Blessing, saying, nope, not going to happen. This one ends. As Bobby said, probably could have ended a bit earlier. There was a point where I believe it was a 5v2 with the Titan, like with the actual Titan helping out, pushing in, and it seemed like a pretty easy end call. But the Oni Warriors took this one a bit slower, not exactly usual for them, but it ended up being the smart call. They get 3 birds down, they get Fire Giant, and they push in for the true end call, and it ends up looking like a very clean game number 2.
I have to say, you know, you get Genetics on a signature pick, 3-0-6, 103. It is mid 5-1-3 for Pegon, and then of course 5-1-7 for Sot. The Ullr over in the short lane was just phenomenal. And this time, Charlie, as you had highlighted it, and what we got to see, a lot more to deal with the healing. Not as much as maybe you still would like at the top end, but Divine, you got some brawlers. They weren't as stressed out about it this time around, and they were able to stifle Quig a lot more than in game 1.
Yeah, the Hell did not have the same impact, right? Because you don't get to that late game, and the burst was lacking, right? This time around was not lacking. The Ullr, as we saw that crit build, definitely brings the burst. The Thor definitely brings the burst, so they have made their adaptations. Now it's time for the Camelot Kings to try and change up their strategy just a little bit. Wasn't like the Poseidon, wasn't like the Raijin were useless, of course. Game number 1. I think Variety has a fantastic performance on it. Didn't get quite online this time around, so maybe they come up with a different bit of a strategy here. With that, picks and bans have been a big topic of, you know, what the Oni Warriors don't want to deal with. Since they're still in that first pick selection, they still dictate a good bit of how the early game, at least in picks and bans, will go. So Camelot Kings are kind of at their mercy here.
And, as you mentioned, not only picks and bans here for game 3, Warriors once again will be left side first pick. Baba Yaga, Naja, Yamoja, Athena. Stop me if you've heard this one before. It has been the exact same. But do they go on the Warriors for something fresh, something new, something stifling? Or do they change it up for their bans? They're talking a lot more about this, Trelly, than I think has been in any of the bans so far for them. I know Afro was on that list for a game. Hell being picked up makes me think the Kings have been maybe favoring some healers as of late. Raijin, Chernobog. There's a pretty long list of gods that are real good right now. But Raijin is going to be the one that takes the shot. So now there's going to be a little bit more of a change-up. Baba Yaga already being banned. Other bans. Olorun's actually pretty top in the league. And something the Warriors have gone to a couple of times. Maybe you could look at that. Anything that maybe stands out to you? I guess the Khepri.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the Ullr and the Chernobog were the topic of conversation. The Camelot Kings were deciding between both. You get one or the other if you ban Khepri, which is exactly what's going to happen. Oni Warriors decide they value Ullr just a little bit more, which means Chernobog goes the way of the Camelot Kings, which they almost certainly grab in the top 2 here. With that, though, I wonder if Sot just takes the Ullr back or if Pegon gets his hands on it. Not often do we see, you know, Oni Warriors play the same god twice. It does change up a fair bit, and they have that flex potential. So we'll hold on to it. Remember, the Olorun is still another pick that the Oni Warriors have been liking a fair bit. Could be a call if the Camelot Kings want to grab Olorun Chernobog. That is certainly a possibility. Doesn't mean they have to. Just 2 picks that they might want to take away from the Oni Warriors.
It is surprising. You know, we've been in several positions where a top pick makes it through to the second pick, and you insta-lock that one, and then you think about the other one, right? But they are putting a lot of thought. I cannot imagine a world where you let Ullr Chernobog over to the Warriors. But Apwash, someone... Trelly, it is blowing me away because Apwash will be a first pick top ban over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And for some reason, he also will not stick in my head as somebody who's supposed to be up there. I always keep thinking, man, there's somebody else. Who's that other god that's like really good right now?
He's got a forgetful face, man.
It's Apwash and Chernobog locked in here for the Kings. And Trelly, that can be pretty devastating as a team fight.
It definitely can. The lane is always going to be solid. It used to be, hey, just gank the Outwash, just camp the Outwash. Unfortunately, with the mage meta we are in, not that simple. You know, you get so much sustain. Your blue buff almost doesn't matter because of the starter item that you have, as well as upgraded breastplate, right? There's just a lot that is working for Outwash at the moment. We talked about the Olorun. Was not going to get overlooked. And a Scylla hover from the Oni Warriors. I would say that Pegon probably not getting his hands on the Ullr unless Sot wants to take the Scylla, which, let's be honest, is a possibility. With that, though, not very many tanks on the side of the Oni Warriors, which means Genetics could get all 5 bans this game.
You know what?
He might.
He might, man. It's been a little bit since Genetics has been on the receiving end of 5 bans. In fact, I'd say he was on the Kings the last time that it happened.
They're going to ban Susanoo and then a tank for sure. So I'm thinking 4 bans. Oh?
Well, Odin. You know, if you squint real hard, you could pretend it's a Genetics pick. But realistically, that's something Panitom has played, I think, the most out of that team. Maybe Sot as well. And then the Ymir. So you were on the right track. It was something plus another tank. Just for some reason, not the Susanoo this time around, despite the fact that he has been there every other game so far. Odin Ymir, banned by the Kings. Rat Hunbats, banned by the Warriors. Again, shots being taken over towards Twig. So where do you go if you're looking for something in the jungle?
It's a good question. If I'm Panitom, I'm definitely taking the Susanoo. If I'm Twig, I don't think I look towards the Susanoo. In fact, Hunbats is banned, the Rat's banned, the Naja's banned. Probably Lancelot, right? That would be.
Oh yeah.
That would definitely be Twig's go-to. I wouldn't be surprised if Panitom also looks towards it, but Camelot Kings get to go first, right? So they probably just have to default back to the Susanoo there for Panitom. That or no, yeah, it's Lance.
Thor?
That's probably the only pick I'm going if I'm Twig. I mean, he has gone towards the Thor, but
I definitely know a couple of those games have not looked
exactly,
great.
and he'll be the first to admit that, right? And he's been a proponent of.
He even said it after a win. They won the game, and he goes, "Yeah, my Thor was awful that game."
Yeah, that was good. Ugh, like not loving that one. So goes for the Nemesis, a pick that definitely on the rise as of recent, but definitely not one that I expect to see CaptainTwig play anytime recently. So still not bad. Got a decent matchup if you can save that shield for the Scylla damage for that burst. With the tier lock in.
Jake's not on this squad anymore, so I can't say immediately, hey, hardcore, that's immediately, the Jake 408 support tier.
I think that is the tier support, but not the 408. I think that's the Genetics tier support.
Chelly, I looked at the rest of the comp to try and refute you, and I just cannot. Do you think so? Erlang jungle.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not. Unless they do something ridiculous.
I mean.
Well, okay. A good point. No matter what they do, it's going to be ridiculous. Morgan Le Fay gets locked in. Now, Opwash, we've seen solo. Morgan Le Fay, everything on the Kings kind of makes sense where he expected. The only thing that catches me off guard and maybe makes me want to ask you a question is Chernobog. We've seen a lot of success for him, specifically for like Shinto in mid. Other teams are throwing him in the long lane. Very easy to split push. Use your ult to join in. Do you have like a preference between him, Opwash, Morgan Le Fay for like mid conversation?
Well, just because there's 2 mages, I don't think Chernobog would be the one you want to send over towards mid, so you probably leave him over in duo. The difference between Opwash and Morgan Le Fay in mid solo is probably, I lean more towards the Morgan Le Fay in mid. I love Morgan Le Fay in solo. In fact, I think she's one of the best solo laners in the game at the moment. But when you also have an Outwash, and I have to have one of them go full damage, I'd probably prefer it to be the Morgan Le Fay. And then you send the Outwash over towards the solo lane. It's not going to be a great time into Ullr. Like I said, if he has the 100-0 potential, he's going to go for it. But you just got to survive until you get a few items online. Then you can essentially full heal every time you clear the wave.
I'm going to be real with you, Charlie.
Okay, please do.
Because I can't keep my eyes off of it. If I'm remembering correctly, I don't think they went tier support at all when they had the tier support guy on their team. And now that the tier support guy is not there anymore, they're finally going for it. That's the only thing I can possibly imagine here, but what a wild world we live in, huh?
Yeah.
I'm kind of failing as a host here. I don't know if I have a question. I'm locked in on this tier.
Yeah, I mean, It doesn't have a great matchup into Afro and Chernobog.
Does it have a great matchup in anybody?
Well, I mean, yeah, immobile mages, and the fact that, think about Morgan Le Fay's self-peel, right? Dragonflight. She sends up a dragon, knocks you up, pushes you away. Turns out Tyr doesn't care about knockups.
Yeah.
He never has, right?
And
He
most
just-
CC, in
He
fact.
just uses Fearless to immune that. So if your goal is to displace the immobile mages or the Nemesis, who needs to keep that shield away from CC, spoilers, 2 Fearlesses and a stun now on Lawbringer, that's also going to be annoying to deal with. Not saying it's the best pick in the world, because again, Aphrodite, Cherno, they don't care about the tier. You're rotating out of lane to get value from this tier. In actually duo, probably just going to be, you know, your typical lane.
Well, the Warriors are giving us something special, and the Kings are matching it. It's tied 1-1 here. We'll see who takes the lead after Game 3.
What a composition the Warriors give us now. Tier support, question mark? We find out as we jump in, and indeed it will be genetics on the tier. Panitom taking Erlang Shen, but it will be Scylla in the solo lane this time instead of over in mid. So now Pegon says, all right, so you've had your time playing the Ullr. You've gotten a few games to have some fun. Now it's time for Pegon to bring the Hunter over to the mid lane. It's JMac inbound and Doug here for game number 3. I guess I'll just open with a very broad question of what are your thoughts on the Warriors comp?
They are cooking. They are cooking. A lot of it is stuff we've seen before, but it's not really stuff we've seen recently. We saw Scylla, I think it's only one time in solo lane, played by also SoloOrTroll. Erlang jungle makes sense, very good god right now. Ullr mid, I think, is in an okay spot. I think he's a fine character. If you need a physical and you need him in mid, I think Ullr makes sense there. And same with Gorr. I'm a little stuck on this tier. I think currently Warriors feel... I think it's a little blown out of proportion how bad Warriors feel. I don't think they feel that bad. But when I think of Warrior supports, Tyr is not even in my top 5, I don't think. He's not one that comes to mind. He's not one that I think is going to be that strong. Curious to know why he went for it. Yes, it has displacement. Yes, it can force beads. But it's not going to be winning this duo lane. Maybe it actually wins level 1, level 2 before Afro gets much healing online. But when the healing comes online, Afro gets her immunity. Afro's got a stun. So if you're playing too far into her, she can just stun you out of your Fearless. I don't know why the tier is the support they opted for.
Oh, jeez, CaptainTwig's in danger. Pegon needs one ability, one auto, but a Panitom, he'll do it all by himself. Beads gone from the jungler at wave 1, and the Oni Warriors punish, picking up first blood. And who else but to give it over to Panitom on the Erlang Shen to take down his opposing jungler.
And that's the kind of lead you want. An Erlang with a lead means this game is going to be heavily snowballed, and the character's going to get an early Atalanta's online and be able to just take almost any 1v1 and win it. He's also going to be able to now play for the shield camp, play for these lefts, and there's going to be a lot of pressure onto the Camelot Kings.
Now, ask you your thoughts on the composition. What about the relic selection we have for the Warriors? Triple blink, double beads, but one of those blinks being on SOT over on the right side of the map. So you've got Panitom, who didn't even use his blink during that last fight, just walked up naturally and got that damage. Now has it for the next time he makes a rotation over anywhere.
Yeah, I think it seems like everybody's on the same page other than Pegon and Netrioid. They're playing a little bit too scared with not going blink, and it seems like everybody else is on the same page, that they're getting in there. And realistically, I think you look at the Kings comp, there's really not that much great CC. It really is just the Afro stun and then Morgan Le Fay's Dragonflight. The one is pretty easy to juke. It's not something you really have to worry about too much. And that's literally it. That's all the CC they have. That is very good CC, like stuns and stuff like that. They have roots, yes. They have delayed stuns like from Variety's 3, but their hard CC is low.
Variety no beads and walking the wrong direction. Maybe just tries to get a totem for himself before he goes down, but it'll be SOT with the crush to get the kill. CaptainTwig, no blink for himself. Remember, he got beads, and those are down for 60. Doesn't want to walk in to the two-man comp of the Oni Warriors on the right side. Now 2 kills up for the Order team.
And that kill happens because Solo has Blink. He's allowed to blink onto the totem when Variety's hitting totem, so Variety's playing a little bit far forward, he hits the root, and then beads are pulled, and at that point, when your beads are down against an Erlang, and you don't have a dash, you're just dead.
Genetics steals the smalls from the camp. Actually manages to pull away the entire camp. I think the Kings thought it was going to reset, but Genetics able to pick that one up. Now can head over towards purple buff. Won't be as easy getting to this one. Maybe see if he can steal Chester this time. Pulls it over towards Netrioid, but he's going to drag that far back to the shield camp. Actually gives over for yet another. Could see the 2v2 around here. Genetics walks forward, gets stunned before he can get the Fearless. That passive making sure that those CCs don't last long. Fearless only onto Quig. Yark still pumping in damage. Camp does get secured by the Oni Warriors.
And a little bit of messing around, trying to get around that shield camp, trying to secure that. Genetics not really taking too much damage right now. But you see the relics on the King side. We talked about relics on Warrior side. Beads across the boards. Aphrodite with beads also. So it seems like their entire game plan is going to be either baiting somebody that has beads or let them blink in to start the fight and then we'll counter engage.
Camelot Kings down 1,000 gold early from the first blood of Panitom and the second kill on Variety.
Oh no.
Panitom's rotation in. Pin doesn't connect onto Quig. Level 5s aren't there yet. Double taunt from the 9 turns Blessing, but they're too close to the tower line. There's just not enough follow-up. Even Netrioid maybe holding on to ult a little bit too long to try and go for that kill there. The Oni Warriors drop a chance in left, but maybe Panitom just goes right back to left for another rotation. As he's pushing back forward, Netrioid has ult this time. Jarcorrr has stepped up. Panitom gets the pin onto Quig. Blink by Genetics, gets the beads from Quig. And now in the Sanctified Field, ult goes wide left for Genetics, but Netrioid's got the damage anyways. 3 kills now for the Warriors.
And good bait out, good ult by Netrioid, also hitting the tower with that ult to slow the attack speed so they could actually get the dive. Unfortunately, on the first gank, Panitom misses route. Doesn't matter, he walks right back around like he said, picks it up on the second time. And just like that, 1,000 gold lead. I mean, it's been a pretty slow burn game, but it's kind of been all Warriors, start to finish.
He's back. Round 3 for Panitom. Goes into Mink form, pin hits.
Beads.
Gets beads from Yark. That ult was still down from Panitom. Maybe not quite sure on the timer from Jarcorrr. SoloOrTroll uses the ult, but gets out-confirmed by CaptainTwig. A faster slice and dice steals away blue buff.
And unfortunately, using the ult and not getting the secure shouldn't matter too much. Enough MP5 on that Vamp Shroud. Also, Scylla, weird to say, but Scylla backing the base. She can kind of get to solo lane fast enough. This is a shorter walk there. Also has the dash for a little bit of movement. MP5 not too big of a worry. Probably no chance at the totem unless
Does walk
totem
up.
battle.
Might trade out a bit of his life for that one. Another fleeting breath by Variety. Pokes Sot. The explosion deals with the wave. Root hits, crushes
He just
well.
wants totem.
Sot, he gets the totem. Sot got the totem, but he might lose his life. Empty the crypts there. Variety though walks up in the tower. Not quite the range that he needed to secure the kill. So he loses totem, doesn't get the kill. But Sot gets to go back to base, and that's the important part for him and the Warriors.
I actually think Variety thought Solo's dash was already back up, because if he hits that 2-3 or 3-1-2 combo with Corpse Explosion, and then he also ults at the same time, Solo's dead before he's able to get his dash off, because it wasn't up yet. Fortunately for Solo, no ultimate was used. It was used a little too late, and then it kind of misses. But Genetics kind of bullying out in dual lane, and that's the result of no beads available right now in dual lane for either Quig or Jarcorrr. Yes, they have the Aphro ult, but at this point, it's basically just a cleanse. It lasts like 0.4 seconds. It really will just cleanse the beginning portion, and you have good chase potential after.
Another 1-2 combo from Sot. Blink from Panitom. Beads used by Variety, and ultimate connects for Sot, but Panitom still got plenty. Beads is good for CC. And now, CaptainTwig rotating to the back. Ult onto Netrioid, but instant Sanctified Field. CaptainTwig wants no part of that ultimate. He got what he was looking for.
And a bunch of relics and ults getting used across the map. These junglers getting active early. 4 involved with Panitom already. Everybody else on his team, only 2 at most. So it seems like a lot of the Warriors play is going through Panitom through the early portion. Other side, Twig's ganked a few times, even though nothing's really happened. And on the right side, Panitom looking for another play onto Variety. No beads available, but the ult is back up.
And steal away Chester and the Shaman camp, so XP denial against the Camelot Kings jungle. Could just go for rotation Variety, but Surely Variety had to have heard that there was something there. Sot blinks in over the wall, sitting inside the crush. It's just enough damage. Now CaptainTwig is rotate back in. The Crypts were still active. Jarcorrr has joined the party with his ultimate. Panitom's going down, and it will be to Yark. So first kill for the Camelot Kings comes from the over-aggressive play of the Warriors.
And a 1-for-1, and multiple ults are going to be used there by the Kings to get that return kill on the opposite side of the map. Purple buff is spawning, and Jarcorrr will not be there for a little bit. So maybe some invade potential here if Netrioid, has a feeling that this purple buff is still up. But across the map, that's a 1-for-1 that you're pretty happy with because you're getting the trade and they're forcing so many rotations over. At this point, Yark is either going to have to decide. Actually, it seems like Net's just going to play a little bit more defensive. Play for Bastion, play for Shield Camp. But Yark's going to miss part of that wave.
Yeah, a little bit of gold denied to Yark for the time. SOT's still going to keep up his fight over against Variety. 1,000 XP, 1,500 gold up for the Oni Warriors here 9 minutes in. Even with the 5-1, good chunk of that gold still just coming from that first blood bounty. Ult in by Genetics, stuns Quig, but Quig's got beads and ultimate, no real threat to him for the time, especially when it's just Genetics nearby. Maybe had Pegon or somebody else been there, we might see one of those cooldowns expended. BMT jukes out the axe toss. Pegon, he'll land a few in-hands and land both abilities from the bow form. BMT gonna be sent back to base, and Jarcorrr inside the wall. He'll be able to stay there for quite some time in the sanctified field, bought out most of it. Now Panitom's rotated over, got the beads from the Hunter while Twig fights against Netrioid. The 1v1s between Hunters and Junglers is going all Camelot Kings for one side and all Warriors on the other. It's the Junglers who win this battle, and a couple too many tower shots means that CaptainTwig can turn it around. 2 for the Camelot Kings, and both of them on the Jungler, and Genetics can't even get there in time to help out. So CaptainTwig lives at the end.
And yeah, it seems like Panitom just goes a little bit too deep there instead of just turning and peeling to kind of get Netrioid out of there. Now 4 strong by the Kings with their healing on this Gold Fury. Pegon taking a little bit of poke. Big man trading ult right now, and Chernobog ulting back in.
Ult, not enough damage from BigManTingz. Fury low, and Fury secured by the King. Sot just going to go ahead and push out the minion wave on his lane. Tier 1 tower down in trade. Still keeps the lead up for the Oni Warriors. BMT being pressured out a little bit by Netrioid, who just now goes back to finish up his Telkine's ring. Actually opted to skip it and go towards Typhons instead.
Yeah, interesting start to it, and Genetics ulting into mid tower trying to confirm this, trying to bully out Big Man and Twig just enough, and they do. Solo looks for the blink in mid. Twig had no beads available there, but the cripple does miss by SoloOrTroll. Tier 1 tower down, about a 2k gold lead for the Warriors so far. I think they've played a fine early portion of this game, but part of me feels like with how they played that really early portion, this should be bigger.
Maybe a kill on the Variety. Expands this lead a little bit. It's taken a long time to kill this Opwash. Nine-Turn's Blessing has to get used to guarantee that kill. And it was actually a beads at the tail end of that, used by Variety, so now down for another 2.5 minutes. CaptainTwig, no beads for 70, cannot step up to the blue buff. Panitom and Sot able to volley out Variety once more. 0-4 now on the Opwash.
Genetics, Pegon, maybe looking for a little bit of zoning potential in mid. I think what I've seen from this tier so far is he's just trying to create space for his team. Maybe pull a relic here or there, but he's not really playing like a true support. He's not trying to peel. He's mostly just, playing for relics, trying to get a little bit of spacing, punish somebody for having relics down. If you look at the King side, every single beads is down for at least another 30 seconds, and Genetics has that blink available, so a big opening right here for Genetics to kind of punish somebody for not having relics available. Curious to see where he goes, what he looks for, or if he's just going to kind of just farm up a little bit.
Probably the only person that's not good going for right now is Quig, just because ultimate's there. Beads as well. Now, tethered to BigManTingz, still not a great option. Variety poked out again, but the benefit of the Opwatch, pick up a few corpses and most of that health goes right back to him. Do see shield buff confirmed for Jarcorrr. Genetics on the way. Beads just came back up for the Chernobog, but Yark is going to head right back to the tower. Another ward placed at the top side of the shield buff. Genetics blinks in, gets the push onto CaptainTwig. Beads aren't going to save him. There's just too much damage as a follow-up. Pegon able to team up and take down one. Jarcorrr sitting inside tower. Genetics has ultimate. He's in defense stance, but he's
That's
a little
dash.
too far for Jarcorrr to go. Up into the sky. Jarcorrr is able to dash back towards Pegon. Tier 1 tower is still there. An ultimate used by Netrioid may just bailed out Pegon a bit, but that Tier 1 tower now crumbles under the sanctified field.
Warriors going so deep there. They get the 1 kill, they get the tier 1 tower, but that entire time on the right side, Variety farming, not opting to rotate to these scuffles, instead looking for stuff in right. And actually, BigMan gets a taunted, beads forced, Aegis not available, taken down, and SoloOrTroll not done yet.
Quig does get rooted out. Pin is there, Crush on top, another one afterwards. There's just so many CCs being thrown out by the Oni Warriors, and there's another Sikkim. The cooldowns are just insane for Sa right now. It's like every 6 seconds he's throwing out another combo. Variety. Well, next up on the chopping block, rooted in place. Panitom with that kill. Killing spree 7, 2, and 3 for the jungler. CaptainTwig walks up just a little too far. Pegon and SOT make sure that CaptainTwig has to go back to his support Quig.
Oh, and that is, so far it's starting to snowball. The Warriors are starting to feel themselves. They've got 5 on the right side. Slightly, you know, low on consistent DPS here. Ullr more of a burst character, but it looks like they're looking for a pick first.
Blink in by Sot. Root hits CaptainTwig. Dashes once, dashes twice. Sot's got the ult, but doesn't hit as hard as he was hoping. 500 damage isn't going to threaten too much on Nemesis for now, but does scare them away from yet another buff. More farm denied to the Camelot Kings. It's just keeping Twig away from his jungle. Look at the lead that's starting to balloon out between the jungle and the soul lane. 2 levels each.
Yeah, and you think about, at what point do Variety and Twig need to get to with how far behind they are right now to be relevant? And I'm thinking like 10 minutes down the line, they are pretty far out. They're not characters that have a lot of CC. They don't have, you know, a ton of damage. I guess Puch has a little bit, but Nem a character that kind of needs levels, needs items because she doesn't have that CC. And then you look at the other side, Scylla and Erlang, characters that have really good CC, and if they do get a lead, they have really good damage. These next few fights are heavily in favor of the Warriors, and with Gold Fury spawning now, I would not be surprised if they pull this very quickly and they get ready for this Pyro, because worst thing right now for the Warriors is trading Pyro for gold.
Panitom steps up. Quig hasn't had a chance to go back to base yet, so still not having his second relic coming in for this next team fight. Well, Variety, 05. Might just be 06 here in a moment. Empty the crypts. Actually going to scare away Sot and Pegon for the time. But Genetics goes in. Misses the blink fearless. So no beads burned away from the Camelot Kings this time. Genetics still does have ultimate. Defensive stance. That is a stun. But once more, we see SOT land a 1-2 combo. Blink from Panitom gets beads from CaptainTwig with the in combo there. Now the Oni Warriors, they're still playing aggressive. They're just not getting any of the kills they're hoping for.
As you said, playing aggressive. Genetics ults in, just pulls the beads on Quig. Ult still available, taking a lot of return damage. Chernobog in the air. See, they're on Gold Fury.
Okay, Jarcorrr jumps to Genetics, fast dash away. Sot zoning at the beacon point, so Gold Fury can go to the Camelot, or to the Oni Warriors. As the Camelot Kings go over to the Pyromancer. Already half HP on that objective. They'll secure it for themselves. Able to get out of this fight before the Warriors have a chance to collapse back in. No blink, no ult for Genetics. Most of their initiation along with Panitom's blink. Now on cooldown, Sot, he jumps in the middle of 4, uses the ultimate to try and escape. That's as he's buying time for the 2 hunters to take the tower. Tier 2 falls in mid, and Sot's able to get bailed out, but now it's an ultimate from Netrioid and a sanctified field to zone away and allow the Oni Warriors yet another escape path. But Variety is keeping up the chase, slowing down the Warriors.
And nothing really happens. A lot of stuff, a lot of abilities used, ults used, relics used, but no kills happen. And after that Pyro for gold trade, the Warriors are trying to force too many kills instead of just pulling these objectives and baiting in, it seems. They end up trading that Gold Fury for Pyro. Yes, they end up getting the tier 2, but I think that was more SoloOrTroll wasting their time than them actually playing for that tier 2 tower in mid off the Gold Fury. And it looked a little weird, because he did dash into them, but he's got the ult for immunity, the movement speed right now, and he's tanky enough to kind of live through that. And the dash is going to be coming up very soon too, but still, it feels like this game is still like in the grasp of the Kings. Like, they're not falling too far behind. Yes, Variety might be 0-5, 0-6, but this is only a 4K gold lead, and it's 10-3.
And it's only one level
Yeah.
between Variety and SOT. Again, praising
Jungle.
Variety's ability to be able to farm up. It's the other side of the coin now. CaptainTwig can't get farmed just because of how aggressive the Warriors have been. It's constant fighting inside of the jungle, constant fights in the lanes, now forcing rotations from Twig. Pegon jumps in, 1 versus 1 between the two hunters. Jarcorrr gonna bail out because CaptainTwig's now on the way, but Pegon might not let him give an opportunity to do so. Solo kill for Pegon, nearly there, but it's a blink by Genetics to take that one away and push CaptainTwig. Slice and dice, and the shield buy him time, but not enough time. Pegon stands his ground, and with the help of his support, they knock down 2.
And Pegon just sets up that kill perfectly, out-trades Jarcorrr incredibly hard, gets him very low, gets the Aegis down, no beads available at that point for Jarcorrr, and Pegon was basically full health that entire time. It was really not a close trade, and then Genetics gets there in time and does not allow CaptainTwig to really do anything there. 5 strong, now for the Oni Warriors. Fire Giant, right now Fire Giant. This is a 5v3. Yes, Jarcorrr has ult available, but he's got no relics.
Fire Giant. Who's going to be the one to start it? Genetics is packing? Panitom's going to shield buff. So we're not going to see a start on fire. It looked like the Warriors wanted to go for fire, and then Genetics had another decision of his own. Actually goes back, upgrades his Sentinels. So now a little bit of extra aura defense for the team. But that couldn't have been what the ideal initial play was for the Warriors. They were posturing for fire, but they just stopped on a dime, not even going for it then. Maybe they go for it now. Genetics hits the objective. Tanks this one up for the team to start chipping away at it. Quig and BigManTingz now on the way. Fire Giant down to under half HP. The Camelot Kings got to find a way to get in. It's a sanctified field there. Crush on the ground. The Warriors will get the Fire Giant and maybe a little bit more. CaptainTwig running, but it's 30 seconds on Genetics blink. CaptainTwig should be out for the time being. Might be a question mark for the rest of the Kings, though.
And Quig just takes so much burst there from Pegon. Pegon going for that auto attack, or the ability build instead of the crit build. Panitom blinks in. Nothing really happens there. Gets the root onto Variety, but nothing else. Pushing down middle, and in left lane is Jarcorrr split pushing.
Genetics walk through the Phoenix. CaptainTwig taunted back by Panitom. Beads are gone. Genetics hasn't given up his push under the Phoenix, though. Keeps Variety out. The bird still at a quarter HP. A couple more in hand should take it, but the bird still stands tall. And Variety able to zone out with the ultimate. It's just SOT on the backside. He hasn't had a chance to leave just yet. He's gonna back at the button by the door, while 3 of his teammates at 20% health or less try and back away. Pegon gets an axe toss on 1, but Netrioid will go down to Jarcorrr. If it wasn't him, it would have been Variety. The Phoenix lives. The Oni Warriors push back.
And they don't even get the Phoenix in mid. These fights are just not going the way the Warriors want them. That siege is not great. They force it too quickly. And now you look at the opposite side. Kings get this tier 1 tower. Gold's up. Pyro's up. That is a throw right there. This game is back to being in a nearly even state.
Do see Pyro go to the Camelot Kings once more. 4,000 gold up. Still the Oni Warriors, but 4,000 at this stage. Not quite the red flag alarm bells ringing that you would imagine. Oni Warriors just kind of scattered on what they wanted to do. Genetics looked like he wanted to fight. SOT wraps to the other side of the Phoenix. And only having this one dedicated tank in Genetics, if he's going in and out of the Phoenix, weaving and bobbing back and forth, who else is there to tank up the Phoenix? No one.
And especially at this point, if you don't have a frontlining true tank, like Genetics is only 16 right now, and he has that wing blade, so he's not full tank. Variety is going to do a lot of damage to everyone. He covers a lot of distance with the ult. The area control that character has is insane. It's very hard to shut him down and kill him because of the sustain in his 1, his 3, and his passive. And it's just, you have to, it does not matter how far ahead you are, you have to bait out outpush ult before you try to siege.
That dates all the way back to
Season 2.
Like the splice days.
Yeah.
When that god was, I mean, up until really then, Puch was never huge meta. Then all of a sudden, Moswell brings out Puch, and everybody goes, "Oh, so this is what we've been waiting to see. This is what we've had to eventually fight against at some point." Now, we're seeing the resurgence of the Puch. Maybe not as much damage as it was back then, but still equally annoying. Well, just like Genetics is being to BMT. Bead's gone for the mid laner. 2.5 minutes on that relic, and that gives another opportunity for Genetics, Panitom, or Sot to blink to the back line and try and take down yet another member of the Camelot Kings. Panitom works on the tier 2 tower, but not enough damage to take it out on his own. We'll have to wait for maybe the rest of the team to join, or a second chance on a wave. There are a few distracted on the left side, while the Camelot Kings don't really have anybody but Variety to defend tier 2 on right.
And they still have the Chernobog ultimate available. This could be a 5v4 force by the Kings here. Seems like they're playing a little bit more defensively. Wave is already pushed in. It's getting poked down. Tower does go down, but Beacon also getting confirmed by Panitom. But at this point, I think the Kings are just happy with keeping their Phoenixes up and just getting farm. You're looking at Jarcorr's build, 5 items deep, trying to get to that 6th item. Once it gets to that Deathbringer, we're going to be talking about a different story. A Chernobog with Deathbringer is very scary. 1,100 gold right now. So I think that's kind of the timer you're looking at for the Kings to actually take a fight. 1,500 gold. 1,500 gold onto the Chernobog, and I think that's when we're going to see the Kings start to look for fights.
Well, it's only 300 away from Yark to get to that 1,500 point.
I mean 1,500 more.
Oh, 1,500 more.
Yeah,
gotcha,
not just 1,500.
Gotcha. I'm bad at math anyways. You could have said 1,500 and I would have been like, oh, what's he need, like 7,000 gold?
For that
no,
Deathbringer.
I'm not that bad. Rune-Breaking Hammer, though, online for Panitom. Picked that up a little bit earlier in the game. Has opted for a little bit of extra defense, too, now with that Mantle of Discord, which, in an item that we see very often, I mean, there was a point in time where it was, like, the defense item to go to if it wasn't Breastplate. What's the value that this Mantle of Discord brings to Panitom?
It's just more CC and survivability on top of his already high survivability and CC. He blinks in, getting that CC immunity against a comp like the Kings if he's getting stunned or something, or slowed even, allows him to kind of just get out of that area and live. The base stats on the item are still, I don't think they're in a very great spot, and it's still an expensive item, but that passive is still super valuable.
Well, the Titans Unleashed, and the Oni Warriors will go ahead and start working on that Titan, already down to 25% health. Not going to stay long against the double Hunter. With a full health Titan now for the Oni Warriors. What will they do with it? I thought the answer may have been push, but they're all going to head back. Because Fire Giant is up. They see at bare minimum 2 people on the left side. If they're fast enough, the Oni Warriors could just go for a Fire Giant. Panitom's going to work on the Pyromancer. They now see at least 4 bodies on the left side. If I'm the Oni Warriors, I'm beelining to this Fire Giant. I'm not making any pit stops along the way. I'm going straight to this objective, and that will be the call for the Warriors. No one on the Camelot Kings are going to be able to get there in time. Great call from the Oni Warriors to pick up objective.
Seems like Kings were kind of fine giving it up. Didn't really want to contest this one anyway. Still not EFG. I think EFG is kind of that fight back when you finally want to get it. But trying to just get some farm onto Big Man. Big Man just hit level 20, just ticked over. He has 1,400 gold in hand. But once he hits that 1,500, he's going to start being relevant because he's got the percent pen, he's got the Ob Shard, he's got the Reaver. Once he gets that cooldown from that full pendulum, that extra power, he's going to be a lot scarier. He's just going to be trying to wait that out a little bit. He still needs 50 more gold. Maybe the Warriors can play this a little bit faster if they see something like this and force him into taking a fight right now.
Relics up for everyone. Ultimates up for everyone on map. Immediately Panitom and Pegon go to the Phoenix.
Wow.
They're able to take it down with a Runic Bomb. CaptainTwig dives to Pegon, but that shouldn't have been the priority. It's trying to save the Phoenix. Mid has already been knocked down. Genetics, double stun with the ult. Push on to Variety. But Variety will be just fine. Held on to the beads. It was only CaptainTwig who's lost a Relic so far.
He messed up the combo. He messed up the tier combo. He interrupted his own Fearless.
Yeah, he stopped it too soon. Now Variety healing back up. Not too worried about the poke that he took. He can resustain. It's a blink into the back line by Genetics. Pushes Variety in blue stance, but now gets the push right back to him. Variety drops the ult and says, thanks for hand-delivering me, but it's a death now onto the Soul Inner and one on the Quig. No! The ultimate from Sot misses, and Quig is able to go back, but Pegon is able to turn this one around. Sot gets the double kill. CaptainTwig able to turn down to take out SOT. Stop the killing spree from even happening.
They're
Right
so
side
low.
Phoenix, the kryptonite of the Oni Warriors. It has not taken a lot of damage, and BMT linked to Quig should be able to get something done. Genetics goes in and then goes down. BigManTingz with the kill.
And only losing 1 tower there. Fire Giant only available on 3. Slow chase out. Maybe a slight bait here. Panitom beads. Ult. Gets the ult off. Twig taking a lot of damage. Getting crit a little bit. Shielding a little. Healing a little bit. Pegon still playing up. Taking down Twig. Jumping by Pegon.
But that's going to be beads from BMT. Pegon gives up the chase with Panitom, and I'm surprised they do. Just a little too much distance I suppose, from the Camelot Kings, but they hold on to their right Phoenix. The big win for the Camelot Kings because they lost that mid Phoenix so fast. You would have thought that one would turn quickly for the Oni Warriors on right side. They hold out with defense. I think probably the unfortunate play was Genetics grabbed Variety, said, guys, here's the opwash, here's the opwash. And Variety said, hey, thanks, cool, I want to drop this ult anyways, and gets him in the middle of everybody.
And Variety returns a lot of damage, does take a lot of damage in return, but he kind of trades out there, mostly trades his health bar to get a lot of damage also onto the Warriors. Fire Giant dropped off Genetics and Solo. Still have 3 fires. I think this is a point where the Kings, or the Warriors kind of want to slow the game down, get this Gold Fury, get shield buff if they want onto one of their squishies, get ready for this next EFG. It seems like it's been really hard for them to siege into this Kings comp. What does EFG do better than anything else? It allows you to siege easily in like 1v1s and 2v2s, and that is really the only opportunity the Warriors have had to get that Phoenix, and they needed a bomb to do it.
They'd have to use Runic Bomb to secure one bird. CaptainTwig, the only one with beads now going into this next fight. 40 seconds to the next one. And then another 30 seconds beyond there for anybody else. Tier 2 tower down. Primal Fury gone. The Oni Warriors have gotten quite a bit with this Fire Giant, but not as much as they were hoping for. So for now, they'll head back. Fire Giant buff. Only about another 20 seconds for the Oni Warriors, and another minute after that until it spawns back in. And the Oni Warriors will now have to match up to the Camelot Kings at Pyromancer. Kings pull the objective, get the stun onto Panitom, but Panitom's got shield buff. He's not worried about it just yet. Actually, him and Sot steal away the Pyromancer. The Camelot Kings had everybody there to secure, but just get it taken away by the Oni Warriors. Now Genetics, their problem of sieging without a Runic Bomb on right, well, that's been shored up pretty easily.
Now they have that bomb to actually go for mid again if they want, like right now before this Fire Giant spawns. Or they could also use it as a secure tool to combo with Scylla 2 ult combo. That's a lot of damage. 1,000 from Runic Bomb. What are we thinking? Scylla's doing Crush 500, ult doing 700. 2,200 damage that she can kind of time on top of itself is very good secure. Other side of it is a little risky if you try to split push. If it's a 1v1, Jarcorrr will match you right now. He also has the ult to kind of get back to the fight. Right now he's opting to push down left. Fires up very soon. And it doesn't seem like the Kings are that ready for it. Maybe they're fine with having Jarcorrr ult into the fight.
You can just go for kill. Genetics catches Quig with ult, but it's only Quig. An immediate onk into everybody on the Camelot Kings. But the Warriors have been able to push them away. It costs 2 ultimates, Panitom and Genetics, and it did get the blink out of Panitom as that follow-up. All relics still up for the Camelot Kings. Jarcorrr not on a ward team just yet. As SOT goes in with his blink. Doesn't get the damage he needed against CaptainTwig, but does push the Nemesis out. Next beacon round, and rotation is back up. The Oni Warriors trying to hold out some pressure for it for the time. Sot miss out on just about every bit of damage. Does get the crush on Variety, but Oni Warriors, they're not landing their damage just yet.
Both these teams, a lot of movement speed. Ullr's got the movement speed. Actually, Genetics blinks. It's stunned out of the blink. Wow, what a reaction by Quig there.
Fast timing by Quig. Panitom's not with them, though. He's heading up to right side. He doesn't have the Runic Bomb, but he's got a wave to try and push. The Oni Warriors might just buy some time. There's also Jarcorrr away from this fight. He's split pushing tier 2. They've now spotted Panitom on the right side. The minion wave didn't get there with him. Genetics does have Runic Bomb to try and push in. Genetics isn't with the squad just yet. Phoenix is low. Phoenix is gone. Ult from Panitom hits wide left. Doesn't grab anybody this time. But Jarcorrr is happy to take the split push. He's got a Runic Bomb of his own, and that's a Phoenix for Phoenix.
And that's a losing trade by the Warriors. That is the bad Phoenix to lose. You hear that all the time. Do not lose duo Phoenix. That's exactly what the Kings do, or the Warriors do. They trade that. Kings trade it properly. And the Warriors getting chased out a little bit, kiting a bit. And it seems like a 5-man grouping by the Warriors about to happen. Genetics actually getting the reset off. But the Warriors just let him have that. They trade that right Phoenix for the left Phoenix. Nobody gets sent back. And it's that worry of that global ult on Jarcorrr. He's not grouping at all.
He decided, you know what, if they're not going to fight us, if they're not going to threaten an objective, maybe I just take something of my own. Now a bit of a threat on objective, though.
They burn this.
It's a fire giant started up for the Oni Warriors. It is melting fast. Twig and Quig are here to try and seal it, but the Warriors confirm it, and now has the team step too far forward. SOT goes in. Root is only on to Quig, though. Genetics crashes the party by getting one. Takes ultimate away from Quig, and the Crush not going to get the damage. Genetics down to a 3rd HP, but heals from himself, and Netrioid should be able to top him back off.
And left wave is still kind of pushing down a little bit for the Warriors. Panitom forced to reset, head down left. They're waiting for this beacon, Gold Fury. A lot of things are starting to stack together for the Warriors. They have this EFG, they have beacon, they've got Oni Fury spawning right now, and they have Pyro also spawning. Fire just got done. They have plenty of time. But this is kind of such a big advantage that you need to try to win off this. This is a win the game push right here.
We'll see if the Oni Warriors can get their push. No Runic Bomb this time. SOT by the ult from CaptainTwig. Beats forced out of the Nemesis. Now the Camelot Kings will have their jungler's ult or safety relic. Sustained once more from Netrioid, from Fire Giant. Keeping Sot alive, but he's also got an immense amount of sustain. So he just goes right over to one camp, heals back up, and has that Polynomicon online instead. Swap things around for the end of the build. But he's able to keep himself alive. The Oni Warriors slow playing around the Phoenixes.
And Panitom forced to go down left, clear out this fire wave, and actually a fire Oni wave pushing down right about a meet in the halfway point. EFG allows them to kind of just backdoor this right here, but only 3 strong. Panitom coming up from left wave. We've got a 4-man grouping in left. Well, Pegon heading towards middle. 3-man grouping in left. Solo Pegon kind of sitting in the jungle.
If I'm Genetics, I'm not making the mistake of pushing Variety back to my team again.
Or missing Fearless.
Or missing Fearless. I'm probably not doing both of those. CaptainTwig, another ult used, but not going to get any value from it this time. Mid Phoenix low, but still standing tall. Left Phoenix under threat by 3. Mid Phoenix, well, never mind.
Poke.
It's gone. One shot. With that enhanced fire giant means Pegon can chop that one down pretty easily himself. Panitom waiting for the wraparound. He has his blink, goes right over to Variety, taunts him back in, gets the beads. Variety goes in with the ultimate, but it's a Sanctified Field in response from Netrioid. It bails out the team, and Genetics is able to walk right out the door on the right side. Left Phoenix poked down to only 20%.
Phoenix getting a little low, sustaining up with this EFG. Solo walks in, gets the poly. 1 health onto this Phoenix.
Almost down. Pin connects on a Variety. Axe toss misses. You just need one ability to hit. Just one in hand. Pegon walks up and gets the job done. Now 3 Phoenixes down on the Camelot Kings. Right side about to respawn, but Panitom can just walk right over, have a wave with him, and be able to take that if he so chooses. But the Oni Warriors are playing this so slowly around. The siege defense of the Camelot Kings is really coming into fruition in this match.
Yeah, Kings really just opting to give most stuff up, just trying to slow them down more than anything. Jarcorrr ults for a little bit of vision there, maybe slowing SoloOrTroll down a little bit to see if the team could catch up. Fortunately, they can't. Panitom tries to secure the Pyro, he does not. Genetics ults in and gets the ult force, a little trade. Looks like a runaway by the Kings here. Right Phoenix is the only one alive, and left Phoenix for the Oni Warriors has actually respawned. So a lot of pressure on the map. Still have EFG for 20. Not a lot of time.
Genetics walking forward. He's already called that there's no ult on Quig. He's got that timer on lock, but he doesn't have an ult of his own. Does have Blink if he wants to go for a Blink Fearless. CaptainTwig dashes forward. Tries to get some damage. Panitom attempting to take away the right Phoenix. But with too many members of the Kings nearby, not able to. Genetics gets the push onto Quig, but he still had beads. Sanctified Field used, and Variety's ultimate is there in response. The Oni Warriors have now gotten an important relic down. CaptainTwig goes in with a Scorching Blink of his own. But the Oni Warriors are quick to back away from the fight.
And Panitom actually seeing right wave. No EFG, actually ult down mid by Jarcorrr. Genetics goes in.
SoloOrTroll also looping around. Genetics is just trying to buy some time, but he doesn't buy enough. BigManTingz and Jarcorrr will shut him down. Panitom chopping away the right side. Phoenix and Titan is being sieged by SOT. Him and Panitom can just go ahead and end this game on their own. Who needs the fight when we can just take the Titan ourselves?
And maybe just completely forgetting about the Titan. The Kings opting to push down middle to chase out. They get the kill on to Genetics. But SoloOrTroll sees that the wave is starting to push into Titan, calls it out to Panitom. They both go for the end. They have plenty of damage. It's not like it was particularly close. Seems like the Kings just must have forgotten about that.
I was honestly surprised that Yark used his ult to keep chasing forward in mid. I thought, go up to the sky. Oh, look at that. We've now spotted out Panitom. He's doing right Phoenix. Let's go over and stop him. But the call was to keep going forward. And you see Genetics just keep leading them forward. So come on, a little bit closer, a little bit closer. All right, I'm just going to loop around. And now my other two damage dealers, they're already at your Titan. It's already GG at that point.
And, I mean, start to finish, a lot of it goes to the Warriors. But the Kings slowed them down enough. It's just not to the point where they can actually come back into that game. Because all the Kings really got that entire game was that left Phoenix when Jarcorrr was splitting. And still at the end of the day, that was a trade. Yes, it was the good Phoenix, but that's really all the Kings had that entire game.
Man, we had a lot of ult trades out, Sanctified Fields for Empty the Crypts throughout that one. The Opwash definitely slowing things down. The Camelot Kings doing their best, but it wasn't quite enough to slow down the Oni Warriors in game number 3. They go up 2-1 in the set. We'll see if they can close out in game 4 right after this.
I've been alone for what seems like forever. Try to hold it together, but I'm losing my grip. I need someone who can make me feel better. Wrap me up in a sweater, treat my pain with a kiss. Then suddenly you are here, inside my head everywhere. Where did you come from? I'm wondering, baby, are you made up of for real? Say, can you feel what I feel? 'Cause I can tell if I'm just dreaming. I wish I had a girl like you, and I wish you could be real, but you're not really here. And I don't wanna wake up without you, but tonight is gonna have to do. If I'm gonna get with a girl like you, I fade away. Every day you're not with me. Baby, now that you've showed me what love could be like, what can I say? I know it sounds like I'm crazy, but I need to believe in you to get through my life. Then suddenly you are here, inside my head everywhere. Where did you come from? I'm wondering, baby, are you made up of for real? Say, can you feel what I feel? 'Cause I can tell if I'm just dreaming. I wish I had a girl like you, and I wish you could be real, but you're not really here. And I don't wanna wake up without you, but tonight is gonna have to do. If I'm gonna get with a girl like you, girl like you, girl like you. If I'm gonna get with a girl like you, girl like you, girl like you. If I'm gonna get with a girl like you, girl like you, girl like you. I don't wanna wake up without you, but tonight is gonna have to do. If I'm gonna get with a girl like you, then suddenly you are here, inside my head everywhere. Where did you come from? I'm wondering, baby, are you made up of for real? Say, can you feel what I feel? 'Cause I can tell if I'm just dreaming. I wish I had a girl like you, and I wish you could be real, but you're not really here. And I don't wanna wake up without you, but tonight is gonna have to do. If I'm gonna get with a girl like you, girl like you, girl like you. If I'm gonna get with a girl like you, girl like you, girl like you. If I'm gonna get with a girl like you, girl like you, Just take a look at yourself. Do you really think it's gonna help if you always fighting yourself, trying to forget how you felt? Just take a look at yourself. Can't even be your own friend, cause you're way too stuck in your head. How do you think it's gonna end? Nothing that they could do, nothing that they could say, nothing that they could do to take all the pain away. Sometimes it works out and sometimes it don't. Sometimes you win some and sometimes you won't. But we could be everything, everything, anything that we see we could be. We could be everything that we want. We could be everything, everything, anything that we see we could be. We could be anything that we want. You think if they said it, then they must mean it. So you should feel it, somehow you think that you need it. Others' opinions, to know how you're feeling, to know if you're losing or winning, left behind or within it. If you're sinking or swimming, existing or living. Nothing that they could do, nothing that they could say, nothing that they could do to take all the pain away. Sometimes it works out and sometimes it don't. Sometimes you win some and sometimes you won't. But we could be everything, everything, anything that we see we could be. We could be everything that we want. We could be everything, everything, anything that we see we could be. We could be anything that we want. But we could be everything, everything, anything that we see we could be. We could be everything that we want. We could be everything, everything, anything that we see we could be. We could be anything that we want. If you would keep me waiting, I would wait a lifetime. In tricky situations, I will be a lifeline. Nobody's meant to be fighting alone. That's why I'm taking you home. I never felt something like this before, no. Keep coming back for you time after time. Maybe I'm losing my mind, but I know I'll never leave you behind, no. Baby, I got you. When you feel like falling, I'll be there to prove, yeah, that baby, I got you. No matter.
Well, the Warriors once again, Shelly, come out on top of this one. And they do it in a pretty convincing fashion. And just like they convinced the Kings that they deserved to win that game by killing the Titan, there's probably a way that convincing works there. I'm going to try to convince you that you need to go to shop.highresstudios.com/SPL. Pick up some merch. Support your favorite teams, right? If you buy a jersey for them, they're going to get the proceeds for it. You can rock them, whether it's a jersey, a t-shirt, a hoodie. There's also all of the special Worlds merch that's there right now that you can pick up, some of which has some potential leaks, Charlie. Maybe some little sneaky snakes back there that you can go look at and maybe see something that's going to be announced on Wednesday during the patch show. So whether you're there to sleuth, whether you're there to, well, actually, you should, if you're going to sleuth, you should probably also get something, whether it's SMITE World Championship merch, as in jerseys, t-shirts, hats, hoodies, and more, or player jerseys, player hoodies, team jerseys, team t-shirts, and all that good stuff. You can go to shop.highresstudios.com or /SPL/SWC. Just shop.highresstudios.com. You'll find it all there. And, of course, be able to pick that up. Look as good as the Warriors do in Game 3. And, Trelly, It is an emphatic Game 3. Maybe not quite as emphatic as Game 2, but still pretty much like one had like 5 exclamation points. This one only had like 3 exclamation points.
Yeah, but as long as you get the win, that's what the Oni Warriors were looking for.
The dub.
And we talked about it beforehand. It's about changing up your strategies, right? The Oni Warriors are not delivering the same gameplay they did in Game 1. They're certainly not delivering the same gameplay as in Game number 2. They've been switching things up. This time around, instead of taking that Ullr into solo, Sot takes the Scylla, ends up looking pretty solid on it. Pegon as well looks decent on the Ullr, so just showing exactly how much you have to worry about, you know, these picks in different roles. We did know that Genetics is going to take this tier. I said wasn't going to be able to get too much value over in the lane. I said it'd be more about rotating out. That's when the tier would really hit its stride. Was still able to get super aggressive. I mean, pulls a kill underneath a tier 1 at like level 5. Sure, Panitom came through for some help, but I was amazed at how much pressure the Oni Warriors were able to find into the competition the Camelot Kings had in early game, right? Quig and Jarcorrr on the Afro and the Cherno really did seem like they were in a good spot to try and win that 1v1, or at the very least, you know, go even in that 2v2. They did not get the better end of those trades, so Genetics on the tier was doing his job. He was being annoying, he was being disruptive, and that's kind of what tier provides. So, not a bad look there for Genetics either. I do think we will not get a composition like this again in game number 4, but still a fun one nonetheless.
I mean, you know, 3-1-5 maybe doesn't look too crazy. 7-2-4 though for Panitom. 3-0-5. Pegon, by the way, again, one of the best Worlds performances on an Ullr, maybe just period, this last World. So looks great on the Ull. And also, Trelly, like you said, keeps us guessing because we're like, okay, well, Sot just played Ull. He's going to play it again. I know he takes Scylla over there. And so that gives us maybe some question marks trying to figure out where and what the Warriors are going to draft and how they're going to play it in Game 4. Kings, however, were a lot more straightforward. Unfortunately for them, straightforward was not good enough there in Game 3. Now trying to move forward. We'll jump into picks and bans, Trelly, and as we do, I'm going to peel back the curtain a little bit.
Okay.
Inbound just now comes into the room where we're sitting, and he goes, well, we're going 5. And of course it's like, well, what makes you think that, right? It's 2-1. Warriors have looked real good. He says, Sot said he has a pick. And that could mean pretty much anything, really. So I understand where he's coming from. We'll find out whether or not it is maybe as bad and as dreadful as Inbound had made it seem. Kings, though, are adapting right now. Khepri, Ull, and Yamoja get banned out. Other side, Baba Yaga, Puch. Have to imagine this is going to be the Athena. Quig has looked too good on that pick. And the Kings have been banning it out every single time, but they definitely are fishing for a first pick here.
Yeah, well, now the Camelot Kings, I like the change of, you know, grabbing that first pick for themselves. That does put them in a more commanding position to ban away some of the things that have been plaguing them so far, like the Khepri, like the Ullr. The Oni Warriors are deciding if that Athena is the end-all, be-all, worst pick available. They were able to deal with Jarcorrr on the Chernobog. It wasn't enjoyable. He was able to get some split push off, use that global presence to his advantage. But you still get the dub at the end of the day. So I don't think the Chernobog is a must ban. But the Oni Warriors feel like the Athena is, and they'll take that one away. Do the Camelot Kings feel like getting Jarc back on that Chernobog is the best option? No, they do not. They're going to grab themselves the Raijin and let that Chernobog and Olorun, notably, which has been very powerful as well, slip through their fingers for now. But do the Oni Warriors want double ADC here? Or are they okay with giving one up? That's still yet to be seen. You're giving up the Raijin, which has been impactful, yes, but again, not the 100% we have to grab this god. If we let it through, there's nothing we can do. That has not been the case here for Raijin.
We've also seen, and granted, Trelly, that I'm attacking this the way I would on a normal day. Morgan Le Fay into a matchup against Raijin, whether it ends up mid or solo, both of those have tended to favor Morgan Le Fay over the laning phase at least. And so it's had a good matchup into the Raijin, maybe something that the Warriors could go to again, on a normal any given day kind of play. Chernobog Morgan is, in most circumstances over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, what you would get right here. That being said, they are spending a lot of time thinking about it. So the question is, what are they going to pull out? Tiamat, Charlie, I'm gonna double check my notes here, but that was not very high up on the list of things I thought I was going to see.
No, the Tiamat and the Chernobog.
Chernobog was.
I don't think, I love your note score, but I'm trying to wrap my head around what Sot's going to go to, so that I don't think that Sot has revealed his pick yet. If we remember back to the interview, you were there, I was there, J-Mac was there.
He got a ticket. I remember that.
He got a ticket, but I'm talking more about how he called out 2 gods. He said he was going to play Ullr, and he said he was going to play Fafnir. I've only seen the Ullr so far, and I don't know if you've been checking, not a single howl coming from his booth. He swore there would be howling.
Yeah. I'm Charlie, I'm kind of disappointed.
Well, this could be the time, right? I mean, if you were gonna whip out the Fafnir and start howling, it's in game 4. Yeah, everyone knows that's the time to do it. You disagree or not?
No, I agree. I was sorry. I was Charlie, I'm just so distraught.
Okay.
There's only been 2 Fafnir games coming into this week so far, this phase.
Mm-hmm.
And Sot, like, he sounded pretty genuine. Like, he sounded earnest.
Sounded like he
was going to give us a Fafnir game.
He wanted to howl.
If it doesn't happen here, man, I think I have to question, like, my worldview, my life trajectory.
You at least have to question Sot from here on out.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. Next time he walks in holding a ticket in his hand and says, I just got a ticket, I'm going to have to be like, I'm press X to doubt, dude. I don't know. Yeah, the last time you told me something, it was a lie. No, yeah, it's going to be really fun to see where he ends up going. Lancelot, though, Hachi, Hachi's maybe not like this powerhouse, but a good pickup. Lancelot's been great for the Kings. Raijin is on their side. You got Thor now on the others. It does feel, though, Trelly, as much as we can try to figure out what the Warriors are doing, we'll learn the old-fashioned way. Sometimes that just doesn't work out too well. Kings, again, they're approaching it pretty straightforward, but they're knocking it out of the park with the top 3.
Yeah, I mean, they've got double horses. Always great synergy to have. There's still at least one more
Whose
they can
horse
grab.
goes faster? I think Lance's, right? Like,
yeah, the Lance horse is just immediate, right? You
Yeah.
you just zoom on out of there, whereas the Hachi horse,
you're galloping on.
you gallop away. However, does Chiron count? Is he half horse?
He is galloping all the time.
I mean, he is quite literally half a horse, but I mean, like, in a horse comp. I mean, you got Guan. The Morgan could be sometimes a horse, but
I would say that Chiron is more horse than, like, even the Morgan if she transforms into somebody like Hachi.
yeah. Well, the only true horse would be Guan Yu, right? And then you got like this hybrid guy. sometimes horse.
That's not what I was gonna say originally, but yeah, like Chiron, he's just like a horse.
That just reminds me of, back when tier lists really started becoming popular in Smite. It would just be like a tier list, and it would be like S tier, and then sometimes tier, the Morgan, and then everything else is
not
tier, and it was every other god. We're just splitting hairs.
Sometimes horse, kind of a horse, not horse. And now you know, if you go to youtube.com/SmitePro, the next tier list that Shelly's going to put out. You're going to have to break it down. Who's coming in next week? Whose poor unfortunate soul would we pull in to do a horse tier list in Smite? Oh, we'll catch up on it. Bans, hell, Aphrodite, healers stripped away from the Kings by the Warriors. Amaterasu and Terra banned out by the Kings. Horus gets locked in for the Warriors. Sobek and Eshel gets locked in for the Kings. And now, Charlie, Eshel notably played once, I believe, in Phase 1, once so far this phase. Some buffs since the last time we really got to, like, see her. Do you like the way that she fits in here and presumably, as of right now, would match up into a Tiamat?
Yeah, I mean, she got some buffs. Getting some extra damage mitigation during the end is great. It's just you have to be piloting each shell extremely well. Your positioning has to be top tier. And in a matchup like this, where the Camelot Kings, like counting on perfect play is difficult when you're already down 2-1. And the thought
Is that his like grand reveal? That's his pick, or is that going to Pegon
I mean,
and Tiamat solo?
yeah, I told you before. I did end up facing Sot in solo, and he played Tiamat in ranked the other day. I know that Pegon already played the Tiamat, and if we know anything about the Warriors, they don't like playing gods twice.
Yeah.
The Ullr was in Sot's hands, immediately goes over to Pegon. Yeah, maybe he revealed the Tiamat so long ago that we just overlooked it, and it's been Sot on the Tia the whole time.
I'm just saying, I was led to believe that we were going to get something like spicy.
Yeah, I mean, it's either the Thoth is definitely spicier than the Tiamat,
Yeah.
but neither one of them is him howling playing Fafnir.
Yeah, this is like the best way I can think of it is like you walked into like a very authentic like Indian restaurant, and you know it's some white dude who's just like very obvious, like that dude plays like a lot of tennis. He's got like the polo shirt, real short shorts, and like you're not giving that dude a lot of spice, but like you give him like a little bit of mild on there, and he treats it like it's the end of the world. That's the level of spice that we got here.
We do not have a
What
lot of
an
spice.
in-depth analogy, by the way.
Yeah, oh wait, Bobby thinks you're just calling him out.
Oh. Are you bad with spice? Oh, he's apparently very bad with spice. I'm sorry for calling you out hard, apparently.
I saw Bobby sweating, sipping on some milk the other day. He was just like, "Ooh, this milk is spicy." I was like, "Bro, it's just milk." Like,
Wait, so
relax.
like when we got Popeyes for lunch, man, now I got a level with you.
he blew
Well,
his nose
okay.
eating Popeyes.
All right, you can defend yourself.
Yeah,
here. Like,
okay.
you just
I'm not that great with spice, but I'm getting better. Like,
okay.
I had the blackened chicken tenders from Popeyes.
Yeah.
And yes, I was sweating a
Okay,
little
well,
bit.
blackened chicken tenders that definitely
they
brings
got
a little
some
more.
heat, they got some
yeah,
pepper on
than,
them.
like,
I
just,
know,
like,
that's
some
what I'm
regular
saying.
chicken
It's
tenders.
just pepper.
So there's this Indian place down the road called Masti that does like some real good food. Katilo's getting the korma from there.
Yeah.
Now I kind of want to get something like just like medium and like let's just like split it. I've lost the thread. What's happening? Are we about to play Smite?
There's a lack of spice on the Warriors draft.
That's right.
That's where we
It's like
started.
just some salt, man.
Yeah. Or some pepper. Ooh, like Bobby said. His face is so red.
I think my favorite part of it was that J-Mac, like, his mic is live. He didn't say a damn thing. He was just sitting there cackling. We'll see if they're still broken. We're absolutely broken. Who's going to win? Let's find out.
Let's find out who will win. Game number 4 between the Kings and the Warriors. Had to I can't even think of the
Had to make fun of Bobby a little bit. Is that what you meant to say?
I may have pointed you out, and that's why Trelly made the call out.
I didn't even say anything. I was
may have
sitting
been-
there listening.
You were sitting there staring adamantly at Gore, and I was just sitting there with one arm up, pointing at you from the side.
Ridiculous.
You can't even see me. Pulling a John Cena, you can't see me.
Just disappointed.
We're in Smite. It's game 4.
Also, Thoth solo.
Also, Thoth solo. That might be
Yeah.
the spiciest thing of all of this right now.
Okay.
Is that we're seeing a Thoth solo from SOT. It is a mage solo, so maybe not as spicy.
You'd have preferred to see the Fen?
I would have liked to have seen the Fen. He called in the interview. He said maybe some Ullr, maybe some Fen, maybe some howling in the booth.
Well, surely Thoth can howl a little bit.
Well, he does kind of scream, like he does like that. Oh, and he like pulls his hands in front and just starts doing the
kinda
yelling.
howling.
I want to see if like he mimics that. Like, does he put the hand like one hand up and then like fire it out?
No. But I hope
be the-
maybe
that'd be
he
a
howls
flex.
as he does it.
He's got it. He's got to do it at least once.
We need some
Otherwise,
sort
he's
of
let us
howling.
down. Anyways, SLT on the Thoth. The reason I wanted to pivot back to the Thoth was because it's not the usual start that we see. You
Yep.
look at Variety, he's got the Tiny Trinket. It's tier 1 book for SOT instead.
This is the alpha build. Book of Thoth, Vamp Shroud in solo lane. No Pythags. You're just going for that power, that pen. And to be fair, Thoth is incredibly hard to lane against by most characters because he just outpokes you, outranges you. This is a matchup where this is a winnable matchup for the Thoth. The only reason Thoth has really not played that much is because once level 5 is hit, there is a lot of CC. Thoth gets beads pulled somewhat easily, and he can never really dash aggressively. And then you look at both junglers. Both junglers have really good kill potential into solo lane. You have the cripple field that Lance puts out. I mean, look at this poke we're already seeing.
Yeah, that's the last multi-pot from Variety. Still 3 HP potions to try and use. But man, just this immediate poke war that SOT is winning. And he didn't have the glyph yet. He went dash and won. Now he has the wall out. Just keep this poke up. And that's what you were talking about, the range. He's hitting him from outside of initial range, outside of even auto attack range at that point. There's just no way Variety can close that level of gap against Sot. I mean, he was already losing the poke before the range came out. Now he might be losing it after. BMT, though, on the E-Shell, I think that's the next pivot point to go towards after CaptainTwig is done. Bullying Panitom a little bit back on the horse, slows him down. Panitom waiting for Hammer. 1 second, it's up. Back into tower. Panitom's safe for the time being.
Blink used by Twig also. Beads were still available for Panitom. SoloOrTroll does dash right in front of Twig.
Raiju does some good damage. Beads used to immune the slows from the two of them. Now Sot push back under tower. But let's now actually try to jump back over to Solo for Variety. A solo kill on the thought. It was all SOT from level 2, but one little rotation from Twig solves that problem entirely. Quig goes in for the dash onto Netrioid. The root does connect onto
Beads.
2 and gets the beads away from the Chernobog. Quig still trying to keep Genetics from getting back in. Gets the pluck once more. Jarcorrr, does he have the follow-up? No, there's a dash from Genetics on the heel to get him back to safety.
And that war flag by Quig actually allowed him to walk in front of Genetics with that movement speed, because he was actually behind Genetics by a little bit, but was able to pass him with that little extra. Not necessarily get the kill, but you get the beads onto Netrioid. Your beads are still available. You also still have the extra healing that you get from the med as opposed to the frenzy by Genetics, which is something, once we get later into the game, maybe not now, something we're going to have to keep our eyes on with these objectives. Horus ult you to an objective, frenzy, or be on the objective, frenzy, and then ult out. Allows for little sneakier plays, little more surprising plays. Pluck onto Netrioid.
Pulls him back. Remember, there's no beads for him, and there's no beads for Genetics either. Purple buff stolen away, as well as some of the other small portions of the camp. The Camelot Kings getting a bit of an aggression under their win this time. Able to get that kill onto SOT. Sets the solo lane nicely as Variety crashes in again. Missed the Raiju, missed the one after. So not going to get his follow-up on Sot that he wanted, but still staying active on the map. And I think out of all of this, the one big thing to pull draft-wise for the Kings is that CaptainTwig got his Lancelot again. So many teams have been banning this away from him. Only recently have we seen a couple teams let this one through, see what he can do, say, okay, he's still got it, we ban it from here. But now as we hit game number 4 and some more of these must bans come out, CaptainTwig able to get one of his comfort picks.
Yeah, and as you said, this is kind of the character he had his resurgence on. He played, in all fairness, he did not have a great first half of this phase, but after that, actually SoloOrTroll gets his dash caught.
Not able to get away, push back, use the ult just to clear out the wave, and Variety bangs the drum one more time, takes him down, 2 kills onto Sot. And the Camelot Kings have found their opening in this game. It's exploiting the made solo, maybe. The Oni Warriors can try and get something back. Quig standing at that tower line, but we have not seen eye nor ear of Panitom on the left side of the map.
No Panitom on the left side. Only thing we've really seen from Panitom was Twig blinking on him, kind of bullying him out. But now Panitom went back to base. He's level 5. He's got the Jotuns. Now are the time you have to start looking for the plays from this Thor, and he's going out through left tower, so he's not had a chance to walk over a single ward yet. Quig somewhat low on mana, and Panitom in the air.
Dunks in on top of Yark. Stun on Quig. The wall is there. The CC chain is just a bit too much for the Croc to handle. And the Oni Warriors now on the board. 1,000 gold and a little extra still in favor of the Camelot Kings. But the Oni Warriors, they finally get their answer back.
You mentioned you've not seen much Panitom, and just like that, 10 seconds later, 15 seconds later, there he is.
Oh, that tablet? Sock went tablet.
Oh, it is tablet.
Interesting. So is this just now a full build into multiple books? You go tablet, Book of Thoth, into like Soul Reaver. What do you imagine Sock goes with a build now starting tablet?
If I can be completely honest, I would just be guessing what SoloOrTroll would be building at this point, because realistically, there is plenty of different ways you could go. You could go that full damage, the book into tablet build that you see I think it was sometime earlier this year, was the double book build into a lot of defense being built and a lot of just other like reavers, some more books, and no real pen. Your pen just came from the true damage on book or on tablet. I mean, you could also see the breastplate. Breastplate gives you a little bit of mana, makes your tablet do more damage. Keep seeing book and tablet and messing that up. He actually caught his dash right there.
Quig gonna try and follow up. Netrioid goes to the sky, but he crashed back in maybe a little too soon. Genetics joins in. Quig is low. Dash out by Net. He doesn't get the last auto he needs. Genetics
He's out?
keeps him alive. Somehow both Quig and Netrioid live through that at sub 100 health.
That was a wild fight. If I watch that 10 times, I think somebody's dying every single time. I don't know what happened there. Maybe a missed ability, missed auto, something. Maybe somebody plays their life a little bit more than they should, but both barely making it out. And I guess something we really haven't touched on in this game either is this E-Shell in mid. She got her buffs. Panitom looking for something in mid. Wasn't convinced enough. SoloOrTroll getting dove under tower. Ult coming out. Just enough damage. Low mana for CaptainTwig. Just enough to be able to get that kill onto the Thoth, who's now 0-3. But this E-Shell got the buffs. Mitigation in the ult now. Feels pretty good now when you're playing this character. A lot more survivability. Can play more through in the fights. Curious to see how it kind of looks, because this is our first look at this E-Shell, I think, since she got buffed.
I think since the buff, we may, and I'm just going to put a might, I don't have the 100% confirmation myself, have seen her once. Outside of that, only saw her a couple times on initial release. I believe it was Dardes and Paul who gave her a try.
Snoopy played her a little too.
It's Snoopy, that's right. Snoopy may have actually been the other one to play the E-Shell just recently. It wouldn't have been, at least patch-wise. So only seen a handful of the players go towards it. Hasn't really seen a whole lot of success just yet. So now let's see what BMT and the Camelot Kings can do with a bit of a lead. More than anything, there's that great end. CaptainTwig there. Pegon immunes out most of the damage, tries to turn it right back in, and Twig has got to ult away this time. Panitom can't really keep up the chase, though. Only level 7. It's a 2-level deficit in the jungle again.
And last time was on the Thor also, where he just fell really far behind, and then some point in that mid to late game, he just started catching up, getting kills, and Twig was just unable to push his lead enough. Down 2 levels, as you said, and this is a true 2 levels. Like, they both just leveled up at the exact same time. This is not a 1 1/4 level lead. So, gonna have to keep an eye on Twig, see what he does with this lead. So far, he's making his mark around the map. Solo, duo, mid, anywhere and everywhere he will be.
Genetics trying to body block Quig from being able to dash away. Now maybe a collapse towards Jarcorrr, but with CaptainTwig nearby, gonna give up on the buff for the time being. Especially the full health Netrioid and Genetics. Both these gods able to jump in at a moment's notice to try and turn the tides of these team fights. The Camelot Kings been able to hold the momentum so far. Now it's a matter of just keeping that up. But we were wrong about where SOT would go next in his build. We'll hold on to the thought for a moment because it is a Gold Fury down to half HP for the Warriors. They don't have the best confirmation to take this one. The Warriors do get gold, but it's going to cost them Genetics life and maybe a little bit more. BigManTingz wrapping around. CaptainTwig on the way. It is a steal of the camp. Cyclops camp now taken away by the Camelot Kings. But it is a Fury to the Warriors in order to get them a bit back into this game.
Pegon just dashed actually right in front of everyone. Great end comes out, secures the kill. Panitom also going down. The bait by Quig there. Netrioid under tower does not look like they're looking for the dive, but that ends up being a 3 for 0 for the Gold Fury. SoloOrTroll misses ult over in solo lane. Very close. As you were saying though, the solo lane build, he's going for a more defensive oriented build. Just wants that tablet for some true damage on his poke. Curious to see how much damage he's going to end up doing. That Pythags has a lot more survivability on it, but there is more damage on the tablet than there is on the Pythags.
Easy to stack it too. Drop down the glyph, fire any of your 3 other abilities just to get a little bit of poke. Probably don't want to use the ult just for, you know, poke for a tablet stack.
Might as well, it's the solo lane.
You know what? They got decent cooldown over there. They got a buff that gives them cooldown. They've got another buff you can augment to give you cooldown.
Yeah, might as well.
Go for it. We'll see where the rest of the build progresses for SOT. But as said, for BigManTingz on the E-Shell, we saw the great end put to use during that last little fight, kept the team alive. And remember, You can extend the duration of that ultimate. Starts out 3 seconds. Might need a little bit of help on the right side. Twig low, uses the ult to get out this time. Now Variety has Thunder Crash. He's able to get out of there too. Blue buff not stolen away by the Kings. The Warriors gonna keep pushing up. Double tap's good onto Variety. Got a little bit of physical defense. You can see that put on display there for the time being, but unsuccessful blue buff steal by the Kings.
And kind of something they need to keep playing around is that blue buff, because you look at that side of the map. I mean, SoloOrTroll is 0-3 and he is the same level. What is it with these solo laners being like 0-3, 0-4, 0-5 and being the same level?
They just get a free farm the whole time.
Just free farm, don't rotate.
Nobody goes over there until there's like a blue buff, and then you just kind of ult. Maybe if the Titans clash on that side of the map, you have people there, but like, who wants to go to solo lane these days? It's all about duo, bro. That's where the real fun's at. You get a shield buff. What do you want? Shield or a little bit of, what, like 5% cooldown? Like, that's real cool, dude. I got a shield.
You seem like
dude,
you really hate
cool.
solo lane.
Dude, shields are cool. CaptainTwig gets one with his ultimate to get out of there. But that does cost him his Grand Just again. This has been defensive plays now by Twig. He's been on the offense all game long. But these last 2 team fights, he's had to use that ultimate just to get away from the Oni Warriors. Beacon started up by the Warriors. Dash from Quig in aggressively. Has access to ultimate to get out. He's got BMT standing by. Heals and CC available to make sure to keep this Sobek alive.
Quig taking a little bit of poke. Sustain on the side. Genetics actually gets plucked. 3 is going to be available. Can he get it off? He does. A little bit of sustain coming through for both teams. Med used also by Quig, but this is just tier 1 med. This is a very bad heal. It is mostly mana sustain early.
Genetics goes in with ultimate. Quig gets hit by the stun of Pegon. That's not much HP left for Quig, couple hundred. Meanwhile, Netrioid never rotated over. He takes down a tier 1 tower. CaptainTwig to the back line. Get some good damage back, but now Variety has joined the fray. The first beacon does get capped. And now, maybe a standoff of the Hunters on the left-hand side. We do see Yark and Netrioid going 1 versus 1, but CaptainTwig's on the way. It's never a true 1v1 in the game of Smite. CaptainTwig makes sure that Netrioid has to back away, but now Panitom crashes the party on his own. Hammer to wall out, but from Yark off the horse to drop him down, and now maybe 100 Genetics as well. That great end, that's the duration extension we were talking about.
Pegon?
One more for the Camelot Kings. Netrioid low, but he jukes out the ult from CaptainTwig. He gets dismounted, and it's Pegon with 1. Pegon and Netrioid both alive, but only for a second longer. 4 wiped off the map by the Camelot Kings.
And that was all Kings in that fight. Twig gets taken down towards the end, but SoloOrTroll opts to not rotate. He pushes down right lane. Yes, he'll get the tower, but the Kings got 4, and they get the Gold Fury on top. What a great... That was the type of Kings play that you expect to see when you watch Kings. Really good team fighting. I think you look at the rest of the series, their team fights have been really lackluster, and I think that is like a really big spot that already looks different in this game than it did in the previous ones. And if you really see kind of how the Kings are going to want to continue to play out this game, the Kings want to play for their team fights. They don't really split all that well, and you see the opposite side. The Warriors have global in Netrioid, half global on Genetics, half global on Panitom. So that grouping potential that the Kings have, that's what they need to do to win this game and to win these next few team fights.
Utilize that potential advantage you have. We didn't see a whole lot of it. I think it was game 1 by Pegon on the Chernobog. Didn't really see too many uses of the ultimate to try and take these 1v1s or create 2v1s, especially past about the 10-15 minute mark. So would like to see Netrioid team up with the team as Pyromancer for the Kings. No answer back from the Warriors. Good zoning by Variety on the Raijin. Keeps those back. CaptainTwig picks up the Runic Bomb. Netrioid did split push tier 1 tower last time, but he's still behind compared to Jarcorrr, level 15. 3-0-3 on the Hachiman. This has been a strong game for the side laners of the Camelot Kings. A 4-0 Raijin for Variety, and then the 3-0 Hachi for Yark.
And when the Kings look the best, I think a lot of it comes through Jarcorrr and Variety. When they are playing to their best, and this is their best, what we're seeing right now, this is like peak Variety, peak Jarcorrr, taking those 1v1s, winning those 1v1s. This is when the Kings are a really dominant team. We've seen them dominate early portions, but usually it's from the side lanes. It's not usually the mid trio. A lot of the times you see this team, it's just big man kind of farming in mid. Twig maybe making plays on the side lanes. Solo does get that dash off. Little trading over in solo lane. He's still trying to get those stacks on that tablet. And as we've mentioned a little bit, full protection in solo lane. And Variety actually gets ulted on.
There's the use of the global and a semi from Panitom. He goes up to the sky, lands right down behind Variety. He gets feared back. Wall from Panitom, cuts off one path to the Aegis. Keeps Variety going. Thoughtful doesn't connect either. CaptainTwig is turning the fight back around. Gets stunned off of the horse. Variety has come back in because he's got BMT joining it. Thunder crash in, and it's now Panitom in danger. The great end brings him down, and it's SOT who has to use the beads. He's standing in the middle of two, but CaptainTwig drops the runic bomb defensively, tries to dash out. Pegon, full HP, takes down Variety. The med's not enough. Quig trying to zone through with the ultimate, pulls back one, and BMT takes down Pegon. Sato able to dash into the middle of all and grab one more. Knock up. Misses by BMT. The root is there. Quig misses the dash, but Sat's being pushed away. BMT needs one ability. Needs to juke. The last one he does, but now they got to get the damage. Will Quig get it done? Dash by Sat. 2v1, he gets it. Can he even get out of this is the question. Uses the glyph, just backs in place, and he dashes. Are you insane? How does he get out of this?
What an incredible play by SoloOrTroll right there. That was... That is I don't even know.
That was disrespectful.
Crazy.
That was so
wild.
disrespectful. He stopped and back to taunt him.
That was a wild fight. It was very close from the beginning. Double globals, double globals. 3 people trying to kill Variety. He does get out. And Genetics ulting in the middle by himself. He does have the wave available. Dashes to the wave. Looks like he's going to be full committed on. A lot of cooldowns, though.
Should be dead.
He's
he
out.
Just gave up. I can't believe it. Not twice, man. Not twice, man. Tier 1 tower goes down. Genetics lives through it all. While Netrioid, well, he said, okay, well, I had my fun over on the right side. Back to my side of the map. Fire Giant grouping by the Kings, but no commit there. Do see a group now, the Oni Warriors. Genetics still half HP, resustaining a bit. Probably should go back to base and starting up that back now. Sitting on a bit of gold. Just finish up that next item. Maybe get that Frenzy or Bracer, because he did go for the double relic on what should be objective style play. Hasn't had a chance to upgrade them just yet, though.
Also just finished the Shoguns also, so that objective damage is going to be crazy. Also the ability to get out or to get into that Fire Giant pit with the Horus ult is also something to keep an eye on. And when you're behind, I mean 4,000 gold, 4,500 gold, the split push potential that Horus provides is something that can get you back into the game.
Gold Fury started by the Warriors. CaptainTwig is near. He's got ultimate to try and steal this one away, but with 5 of the Warriors nearby, it's too much damage and not willing to commit into the fight. So that one will go to the Oni Warriors. Still a lead for the Kings, about 3,000 gold up, but that 3,000 gold is now starting to plateau by the Oni Warriors. Pyromancer started up. Kings should be able to get that one. I'm not even sure that the Warriors know this one's happening. By the time Sot gets over and charges ultimate, it's already done. Camelot Kings, they answer back, and they're going to keep pushing forward.
Wait, bombs on the ground, too.
And Variety leading the charge. Nobody's gone back to pick up the runic bomb yet. Yark and CaptainTwig will turn around, but BMT, wrong side of the wall, takes a lot of damage. Root connects on a Variety, but BMT heals himself back up. Fire Giant gets pulled. Netrioid is allergic to team fights now. He had his one fun on the right side, said, that's enough for me. And he'll split push another tower.
And I mean, he's getting both towers, and they're not losing anything on the other side. I think the Kings are kind of getting caught up right now. They're not making plays, and when you're not making plays, you're playing into a Chernobog. They have that split push potential, and it's something that they're putting the pressure back onto you. And at this point, the Warriors might be using some ult, but they're not losing anything out of this. The Kings are still not pulling Fire Giant. They're still not trying to force anything. Maybe an opportunity here, but I mean, as we're talking about that, Variety's resetting.
Netrioid will go back, level 18 now on the Chernobog to try and keep himself active in this game, trying to catch back up and farm more than anything to Yark. But Yark has been 303 for quite some time now. Haven't really seen Yark been able to pick up any extra kills, no extra assists. And Netrioid slowly catching himself back up. Dominance 4th item for him. And the Oni Warriors a bit slow on the group up around right. Meanwhile, Quig's gonna walk forward by himself. Pluck hits one. Quig's forcing the ultimate.
The bait?
His dangerous waters for the Camelot Kings. Saw dashed away. He's already used the beads, but CaptainTwig's got the damage onto the
Twig's
tower.
deep.
But Twig is locked in that same tower. 1-for-1 trade. BigManTingz trying to get the great edge.
Panitom.
Panitom dunks in the back. Quig is nearly down, but the knockup is
Panitom?
there. Panitom's getting turned back on. It's Variety to nearly get it done. Will find that last shot, but now Variety's stunned under the tower. BigManTingz takes down Genetics. It's a 1-for-3 trade, and the Camelot Kings are out on top.
And everyone is using relics. We have 3 relics available still on the Warrior side. 4 relics available other than the Blink for the Kings, and they're pulling this Fire Giant. Everyone is getting very, very low.
Netrioid, Pegon can try and steal this fire away. They've got to get in soon. Variety and Quig are both low in this one. The Typhoon is going to make its way
Variety?
in. Pegon is taking down Variety, and Netrioid's going to bait out inside the wall. Dashes away. Pegon in the middle of 3. He
Pegon?
takes down Quig. That's a 2-kill for the mid laner, and the Fire Giant has to be dropped. The Camelot Kings so close on the objective, but not enough. And BMT lost sight of Netrioid. The ultimate now gone from the E-Shell.
Netrioid's ult is also coming up again soon. If Big Man doesn't walk away, get this back off. Okay, so it looks like he's getting the back off. Looks like Net's ult was a little too far away from being back up. But that is good play by Pegon and Netrioid in that 2v4, getting a double kill, only trading out Pegon and not allowing them to go Fire Giant. With the map in a stable condition for the most part, it still is the Kings not putting enough pressure on the Warriors. And if they are putting pressure, the Warriors are trading, maybe not even, but at least semi-favorable.
And all of that. In all honesty, I don't know how the Kings won that fight when Quig at half health is just W-King at 3 people. Pluck gets beads, he goes in ultimate, and still lives a little while longer after. The Kings were essentially down a player at that point, and they still won that team fight. 1-3 trade, and then lost it after in the 4 versus 2. It's a double kill for Pegon, ends up making it a 3-for-4. Quig grabs Sot, but Sot on the Thoth, able to dash pretty far back away. Quig gonna chase him down. Great end once more from BMT.
Huge
Sot takes
damage.
too much damage, and it's BMT with 1. Now Netrioid has joined in. Jarcorrr is low, has used both of his relics to try and get
Pegon
back out.
no dash.
Turn to burn onto Pegon. Yark takes down the mid laner, but Panitom is in the middle of 4. He's able to get 1 before BMT gets the double and make it a killing spree and a triple kill for BigManTingz. Genetics is the only one alive, and he might not get to go too far. Variety trying to taunt him back in with the drums, but he's missed every single shot except for the one at the end. Genetics goes in, lands the dash, the chase back in, give it to 4. Quad for BigManTingz and a deicide for the Kings.
And unfortunately, it takes them a little bit too long, so no real push potential here other than maybe taking this tier 2 in middle. But getting this tier 2 out of the way is a big highlight. Unfortunately for the Kings, all the relics on the Warrior side are coming back up, and a lot of the relics on the King side are going down right now. So this next fight, going to be huge in the favor of the Warriors. If they can either slow it down, the Kings, before they get ready for this Fire Giant, Gold Fury Pyro's up, either of them is fine. Also, looking at Big Man in a lot of these fights, 8-1-8, a part of 16 of 21, and he is dealing a lot of damage, 1. He's positioning well so he can't get gone on, 2. And 3, he is very, very tanky in that ultimate. He is not taking much damage. This backline by the Kings is playing very, very well.
Now the Camelot Kings still slightly in the lead, but as we start pushing 25 minutes, 4,000 or 5,000 is not a whole lot at this stage. Group up for Pyromancer seems to be the call now for the Kings. Oni Warriors trying to group in. Pyromancer's melting. Crit damage from Yark. Really starting to show what it can do. Variety steps up for a ward, gets spotted out, takes about 20% of his health in damage. So the fire is started up. The Camelot Kings pushing in with a Typhoon out. BigManTingz got to back away. Have to resustain now. It could be the Oni Warriors who try and pull the objective or just keep a fight going, because Quig and Tings, they're both low.
And no Deathbringers on either ADC yet. So this Fire Giant is going to take a little longer than expected to burn. Also, the poke potential that this Warriors comp has. Usually, if you're talking about poke with a Thoth or a Tiamat, both of them poke really well on their own. But this is one Thoth, one Tiamat for insane poke, and then you also have good setup and good poke with the Thor. So that's the one thing that the Kings have to keep in mind. The poke potential by this Warriors comp should not be underestimated.
BigManTingz goes back to base. Full buys a Typhon's Fang. Resustains himself. Quig also back to base to get his health back. Titans push down right. And the Oni Warriors with the man advantage, able to take down that of the King's Titan first. And now it's the Warriors who can try and group up around Fire, but they're not going to even try and pull the objective, even with the Camelot Kings nearby. So with the Titans now both off of the map, we return to a state of neutral for both of these teams. CaptainTwig's able to clear out the jungle of some wards, making use of that starter item. He's already taken 2 wards off the map from the Warriors, and it's the Kings now starting to push forward towards tier 2.
And this Seer, I think it's a lot of times underestimated how much it can actually do unless you're the ones like talking about it, but the ability to clear out a camp and then just walk up and clear out the enemy wards is insane. And while they're doing this, Fire's already down to half.
Kings starting it up. None of the Warriors are stepping forward, but now it's been dropped. Quig taking a bit of poke while Variety tries to return some back, but from what Pegon's able to do, Quig is in danger and needs to get bailed out, but he can. The Camelot Kings have got to make a decision if they want to fight or run in this one. Let's tune in with the Camelot Kings for a listen-in.
Thor landed on me.
I died in my ult.
Thor is chasing me. He hammered on me.
I just fucking, it's fine.
That's gone. Just fucking, oh my god, bro.
And it all falls apart for the Camelot Kings, the Oni Warriors. And Quig just goes again a little too far forward. Gets caught out by that Thor wall for what felt like eternity. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, Quig's not taking a lot of damage. Quig's not really dying a whole lot. They weren't focusing Quig. They were trying to get poke on everybody else. And the Oni Warriors, they take out 3 and get fire on all 5.
And I think the pressure is starting to set in on the Kings. They felt like they had such a big lead and they didn't really do anything with it. And now they're forcing stuff when their lead has shrunk. They're going for this Phoenix and right, 5 strong, 3 still dead.
Do you have 3 seconds still, Quig? 6 seconds on CaptainTwig come back, but Oni Warriors recognize it. They just take the right side Phoenix. Not the worst one. The Camelot Kings to have to deal with, but not a favorable fight for them at that time. Especially with the Quig getting caught out during that. Jarcorrr now full build, just waiting to upgrade one of his items, Glyph, and then after that, it's just going to be his relics from that point. But the lead is gone now for the Kings. No more gold, only XP, and that XP only affects genetics, and I'm sure at this point in the game, he's probably not too worried about an extra 20 damage on his first ability at this point. So now, it's the Oni Warriors in the driver's seat for what seems to be the first time this game. They can go straight to the Oni Fury. Even with vision there for the Kings, I don't think Kings are stepping up to this.
Yeah, and even if gold and XP is kind of an even state, the map state is heavily in favor of the Oni Warriors. Fire on 5. Oni Fury is getting taken down right now to get some Oni waves going down left and middle, and an Oni Fire wave going down right. If you look at right side also, Variety trying to push up right, kill this wave before it can meet too far. Waste a little bit of time for that fire. Because right now, you've got 2 more minutes on this fire. 2 minutes and 20 seconds. This is a lot of time you kind of have to waste. We also saw Quig is very susceptible to this damage. If he misses Pluck, he will get bursted. So he's got to be very smart with how he uses it.
Oni Warriors push up left lane. Netrioid's not there yet, but has ult. So he can jump back in at any point for this fight. He can just take his time. Push up with the Oni minion wave. And wait out some time. Mid lane tier 2 is still there. Variety spotted. Able to get back to the safety of tier 2. Camelot Kings spreading out their numbers a bit. Netrioid goes under the tower. Variety, you probably don't want to taunt him back towards you. He's dealing a whole lot of damage back. Variety, let's go back to Fountain while tier 2 tower in mid falls to Genetics and Netrioid.
And that Deathbringer Chernobog is starting to get a lot of damage out, as you said. That taunt is risky, and Frenzy actually used in middle. Just getting absolutely taken down. Quig and left.
Quig taking a lot of damage. The Oni Warriors have removed 1 bird, and now they can start up for another one. The Camelot Kings on the back foot. Genetics half health. SOT able to dash back away, and now as we jump in for a fight, let's listen in with the Warriors.
I don't have beats now. I cannot play up.
I beat the beat me. Sure. The land's flanking still. I got heals in 1, heals in 1.
We see lands, we see lands, we see lands.
Boys, careful, careful.
Look, wait, look the left wave, look the left wave. They have to defend that. Okay, chill now. Okay, we go now.
Wait, stop. They're not even defending it, they're not defending it.
Oh, not defending. Oh, there they are now.
It's fine, win.
Chill.
Fighting real patiently are the Oni Warriors. Camelot Kings had a great start to that fight, pushed the Oni Warriors back, but The sustain from the Fire Giant from Genetics is keeping this Warriors team alive. Yark getting poked out. It's BMT trying to heal them up. SOT channeling that ultimate for a moment, but going to cancel it out right away. Panitom's wall, Netrioid in the sky. Will he just crash right back down in place? It's another ultimate from Quig used defensively.
15 seconds on this fire. This is the last availability to go for it.
They do start pushing into the Phoenix. Sot's low. Yarcorr's ultimate does a lot of damage. CaptainTwig takes down one and nearly grabs Pegon. Even Genetics is low. Variety goes in, and he takes down Genetics. Now it's Panitom on the run. He and Pegon, half HP or less, but minions are starting to push into the Titan. Yark cannot continue chasing forward. And Panitom to the sky. I think he's just trying to buy time, not let anybody else go back and just bail out the remainder of his team.
And 2 Phoenixes down there for the Oni Warriors. Not the best 2, but it's still enough to put pressure on the enemies. They have to worry about these fire waves. Pyro's available, fire's available. You have 30 seconds. I want to see the Warriors play up right now and look for a pick. This is your advantage. Or sorry, the Kings play up and look for a pick.
The Kings just have to buy time for the next Fire Giant. Right side Phoenix has respawned. One last fire wave. Then all the Kings have to do is worry about this middle one. We've seen jungler after jungler stand inside mid, wait for their moment, push up those waves. It's the Kings first on the scene for fire. The Oni Warriors going to be a bit slow to get up to the objective. It's the Camelot Kings with all 5 there. They're going to start the enhanced Fire Giant right away. It's half HP already for the Warriors. They're a bit slow to get there. Panitom going up into the sky. The Fire Giant goes to the Kings. Whereas Panitom's dunk target, it's on 3 immediately. But he's taking so much damage back. BigManTingz. Credit for the last hit of the kill. The 9, 1, and 10 E-Shell for the Camelot Kings. It's BMT and Yark keeping them alive.
I mean, highlight big man, he got the kill there, but Variety actually caught the hammer that Panitom tried to get out with and taunted him at the exact point. He couldn't get the hammer off. Beads just coming up now. Gets taken down. 5 strong with this EFG. They have 40 seconds. They're opting to play it a little bit slower. I think they're just playing the safer option of let's get Phoenixes up first and make sure they're going to be up, and then let's start to push up. Because at this point, next fight can win you the game.
So now it's the Kings trying to reclaim the driver's seat from the Oni Warriors. It was all stopped at a moment the last time Fire Giant went down. It was the Warriors who win the fight, take the objective. Now it's the Kings. Grab the objective before the Warriors even really had a chance to get there. Panitom tries to make the big hero play, but as mentioned, Variety able to stop all of that. Relic's still up, though, for everybody on the Warriors, aside from Sot's Aegis. Meanwhile, 100 seconds on a couple of beads from that play from Panitom means the Kings might have to play this fire a bit slower.
Good call out on the Relics. I think that's why actually the Kings are playing it slower. If Relics are fine there, they have nothing to worry about. They can just walk up pretty safe. But, I mean, Panitom might be 1-6, but he's full build. If he lands on somebody that doesn't have beads and they don't preemptively Aegis, they're going to die, and it's not going to be close.
Camelot Kings group up towards left. Still 2 towers left for them to remove off the map. Tier 2 left, Tier 2 right. They may just forego the one in right if they can have a good grouping here. 60 seconds on Twig and Yark, 30 seconds on BMT for all 3 of their beats to come back up. Camelot Kings have no minion wave with them. Enhanced Fire Giant. Remove some of those backdoor protections. They don't have to worry about it as much, but given what Panitom was able to do when beads were up, even though he didn't get a kill, the Camelot Kings got to know that they can't be standing around grouped up too tightly for another play like that.
Kings still have 30 seconds on those Relics, still playing it very, very slow. Instead of keeping left wave push up, they opt to go right. Kind of worried about that, those Tiamat minions and trying to get this Tier 2 tower. I think I would have preferred them sending just maybe 1 or 2 people over here, keeping that pressure in left, because look at these Tiamat minions all around the map. I mean, at this point, Pegon is just ulting with those minions off cooldown, and they're pushing every wave up. There's no wave in right, there's no wave in left. Yes, you have EFG, but there's still the safety and the damage that Panitom gets off there. There's still safety in having a wave go in first.
Yark will get healed up by BMT. All Relics now back online across the board for the fight. The Fire Giant's only got another minute left for the King. Seems that this Fire Giant was more of a preemptive one, or I should say a preventative one. from the Oni Warriors. Genetics uses the ultimate. Plucked by Quig just to get some damage, but Genetics will be out. That is a big ultimate gone from the Oni Warriors. That is an engage or a disengage tool now removed.
30 more seconds burned. It seems like the Kings are happy just stalemating this game and just bringing it to the next EFG. Pyro is available right now, but the Kings back, coming out of base. Warriors standing in middle. And we are back to an even game. And at this point, this is a completely even game. This is no advantage. We've got 3K pots on both sides. We've got upgraded relics. This Fire Giant fight, I mean, we've had a bunch of fights that could decide the game. This is another one that could decide the game because there's no tier 2s you got to go through. It is just Phoenix and then the Titan. And we've seen how much damage both of these teams are able to do. So if this Fire Giant gets pulled, it's going to be very risky unless you've got good vision. And at this point, vision is not good. We have to get good vision down either side, Kings or Warriors. We need vision.
Yeah, we got one ward at Pyro.
It's getting a little better. They
one
just placed
blind
him.
fire, one over at cooldown. Now we're starting to get some of them. 3 sentries in pocket for the Warriors. Only 1 sentry, at least, for the Kings, but 2 ward chalices. So they still have some vision in pocket. It will be the Warriors first in the pit this time. Last time it was the Kings on the scene immediately. Soon as fire spawns, they take it. Everybody bails out, but that was nearly 5 minutes ago that play had happened. Everybody's been able to recoup, finish up their builds. Everybody except for Genetics 6-slotted on their builds. Still waiting for some relics to upgrade. Fire Giant popping in just a moment. Oni Warriors there, but don't need to go for the pull. I think a lot of onus now is towards Quig. If that pluck hits and there's a set of beads, you might be looking at a dead croc, but it's all about the follow-up that he has after those beads go down.
And you're looking at kind of how both these teams want to play. Kings want to look for a pluck onto somebody in the front line, whether it's Genetics or that Thoth. And you see SoloOrTroll opting to just poke mostly. And this is how the character, I mean, should be played. This is what a Thoth is. He's a poke character. But once that Tiamat gets up here, once she gets a little bit closer, the poke is how the Warriors are going to win. The Kings on the other side need to not get poked.
Quig steps too far forward. Frenzy by the Warriors, but immediately the Kings bail out. Quig is low. Genetics is coming in for the Sky as he goes in for the re-engage. He's going to ferry the rest of his team in. Let's listen with the Warriors as they continue their team fight.
Play slow, play slow, play slow. Lance one.
We can get fire now. We can for now.
Okay.
Okay.
Big damage. Yeah. Slowing.
I'm not
Healing.
Oh, my kill. My penta.
Ah! Body!
Oh. Bro.
Quadra?
Dude, that's actually my penta, bro.
And in one team fight, the Oni Warriors, they don't care about the Fire Giant. They're just going to go ahead and take the game. Game number 1, we'll chalk it up to a fluke, and we'll say it's a 3-0 for the Warriors immediately after. The Kings look great throughout this set, but that one team fight's all the Warriors need to end it.
And Panitom actually taking Solo's quadra kill. Kind of disrespectful of him, but great ending fight by the Warriors. Huge ult by that Thoth, hitting 3, executing 1, essentially. A lot of damage coming through, and you saw kind of how both teams wanted to play. If you don't get that pluck, that's the problem with the Croc. Pluck misses, you take too much damage, and then the chase potential by that Warriors comp. Global on the Chernobog, half global on Horus, half global on Thor. Insane chase potential.
I mean, that was the problem we saw in the last couple of team fights the Kings are going down. It's Quig trying to go in. The last couple of times, he's connected a pluck. But this time, Sot dashes right past him, misses that pluck, gets caught out while waiting for him. And just that chase down again. Panitom semi-global, Genetics semi-global, able to ferry at least 2 people, them being themselves at the very least, or more than just that to keep this team going. The Oni Warriors, it took them a while to get those globals running, but they're able to get it done and went out 3-1 against the Camelot Kings. That's it for me and Inbound on the cast. We'll throw it back over to Gordon Charlie on the desk.
That's right, the Warriors able to win this one. Trelly, for a while there, wasn't looking too good for him, man. And then you get some insane turnarounds. All I can think of, I'm replaying that moment where Sot, alive somehow, goes this way, pulls Quig with him, dashes away from him, and
kills things.
Gets out,
Then gets
stays
out.
alive.
Yeah.
It's just, man, not much you can do about that half the time. And so for the Warriors. They are able to find themselves a win. They've got one more set to play for the rest of this week to maybe look forward to. But Trelly, game 1, maybe they bite off more than they can chew. They're winning pretty hard, and then they lose pretty hard. Games 2, 3, and 4, they're winning pretty hard, and nothing ever changes.
Yep, and this time I think the Camelot Kings got a lot to be proud of in this set, right? It was not like this last game was one-sided by any stretch of the imagination. This was, by all means, an even standpoint, and it is very difficult to try and, you know, come back in a situation like that. This is a ridiculous play, by the way, that he gets out here. Like, the kill is ridiculous, but the fact that he lives is also just as bad.
In the middle of it all, right? Like,
and that's the thing. We were expecting some spice. We didn't get the spice, but
he gave he didn't do it in picks. He did it in play.
He delivered nonetheless. I think that late game, of course, if Quig hits that pluck, maybe things go a little bit differently, but he doesn't, and that is the issue, right? As a solo frontline, your job as Sobek is, unfortunately, to sometimes die to set up for the play. And in this case, Camelot Kings just try to full-on retreat after that pluck goes amok, and there was plenty of chase-down potential. Thor, they've got Horus, they've got Frenzy, they've got Chernobog. Like, it was just that you are not getting back to your base after that missed engagement.
Now, do you think, you know, first off, you get a triple from Sod at the very end. And I have to imagine, Trelly, part of what's going on in the Warriors' minds, you know, Pegon, Netrioid both stack up a kill. There's probably half of it that's just, hey, let's kill him and win.
Mm-hmm.
There's also probably a little bit of them like, no, Sot already got a pentakill. We're not letting him have another one and trying to compete for it, or at least maybe not compete for it, just stop it from happening. Genetics has 8,000 healing, keeps up a little bit with what BigManTingz was going to do. And I think that is worth highlighting on the left side of the screen. 9, 2, and 10, the E-Shell. We have not gotten to see a whole lot of E-Shell. Say what you will maybe about the circumstances around this game and whether or not E-Shell is going to be towards the top. But 9, 2, and 10 is hard to argue with. I think Tings looked really good on that pick, and I'm kind of hoping we get to see more of it in the future.
Yeah, he definitely did. Even when we saw like the attempts of E-Shell, it was never looking that good. So the buff's definitely doing well as just showing that E-Shell does provide more than just the healing or the setup for the squad. Also can just go full damage and have a pretty good time.
Well, they put another win on their belt. They 3-1 the Kings. They do have one more set to play tomorrow, but after this one, we've got Netrioid standing by for an interview.
That's right, I've got Netrioid with me here from the Oni Warriors. Congratulations on your win against the Camelot Kings. Only one set to go left for the rest of the phase, and then starting to look over towards playoffs. How's the team kind of feeling now that you've had some time to solidify with your new roster, getting genetics on the team? How's everyone kind of feeling right now coming towards the end of the phase?
Everyone's feeling great, of course. We are more than motivated to win it all, of course. And yeah, I mean, sometimes it's kind of hard, you know, when you play. I think it doesn't matter if we win or lose today or tomorrow's for the seeding. So it's kind of hard sometimes, you know, to play for that. But we kind of had some fun as well, and sometimes not. So.
Is that a little bit of maybe what happened in game 1, trying to have a little bit of fun, didn't quite work out, so you kind of got to, you know, buckle up a little bit more for the rest of the set?
Yeah, it was like, okay, so if we lose here, we just have to lose the next one because we don't want to make it a game 5. So we said like, okay, let's just try to win it and say that.
Now I gotta say, you know, SOT came in here for the pregame interview, ranted a little bit there, but he said he was gonna bring out some spice stuff for solo, some Ullr, some Fafnir, and have a little bit of howling going on between in-game and in booth. Was there ever a howl from Saw? Because I don't think we ever saw him actually howl.
I mean, oh, you said hell?
No, howl.
Oh,
like.
no. I mean, yeah, I mean, I just saw it on first game. Like, he played Ravana. He said, like, oh, guys, I think Ravana is great here. And we were like, yeah, sure, go for it, man. And then he were like, oh, maybe Ullr now, or maybe Thought now. So it's like, okay, sure, you can experiment a bit.
Didn't work out game 1, worked out the rest of the set. Netrioid, congratulations on your win. I'll just get back to the squad. We'll throw it back to the desk.
Sounds like Sot was just streaming. He was just like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna go solo and I'm gonna play, let's play some Ravana, let's play some Ullr, let's play some Thoth and just see what happens. And luckily for him, similar to his streams, he finds some dubs, right? So things go well for him. And of course that closes out today, Trelly, for Season 10, the last Saturday of regular season play. And that one's very, very, very big, like, caveat to put on there because we do have just a couple weeks. We'll be going into the playoffs. We'll get some teams for Worlds. A few weeks after that, we'll be watching SCC teams compete for their spot to compete against the Gladiators and tomorrow morning. TBD, Dragons, Hounds fight for third. Third place goes to the playoffs in just a couple of weeks. Fourth place, well, we won't see them till a week before Worlds in the qualifiers, the last chance qualifiers, to get to the championship. That set matters. You can see 3 and 6, 2 and 7, and a huge deal when it comes down to how these two teams are going to try and take each other. Well, I was going to say take each other out. I guess it's really just the Dragons trying to win as best they can, because they'd have the head-to-head, I believe, if the Hounds are able to win. So a lot going on, a lot of pressure on that third place match for the Dragons and the Hounds. The Ferryman doing them a little bit of favors. As you just heard Netrioid say, not a whole lot that they have to do over in theirs. It's just, do they want to finish 8 and 2, or can the Gladiators finish 1 and 8? That's the real determining factor for this next set of theirs. Tomorrow, I think the perfect sandwich. Real serious set into nothing matters set, and then a couple weeks. I was going to say a couple weeks off, but it's not a couple weeks off. It's just a couple weeks, and then the tournament, right? You have a week off, and then we're into playoffs. It's going to be a lot of fun. Road to Worlds. It's finally getting to the Worlds part of the road, and it is looking real exciting. But from myself, from Shelly, and everyone here in production, everyone here at High Road Studios, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in, hanging out, and watching all day. And we'll see you for one last time in the regular season tomorrow morning.